I think we have the resources for it. Do we have crappy politicians? Yes. Do we have existing systems that don't make this work? Yes. But I'm thinking and dreaming of a tomorrow. And if today will get by, but I want a better tomorrow. That's the dream that every immigrant parent has for their kids. That's the part of the dream that I want to keep going. You're really at this point where you want to transition out of the path that was put in front of you. And you really want to say, hey, I think there's more than that. Beyond that, you have no idea what you're doing. That's fine. That's what I'm here for, to work with you, do the hand holding, to reassuring that, hey, this will work out.
With Lemonade. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast.
Where are you getting this coffee?
There's this great Vietnamese coffee shops that's almost all Vietnamese people with a bouncer at the door.
And a lot of smoking and gambling inside and girls.
No, yes, maybe, but I go for the coffee.
You know what? I'll agree with you. Surprisingly, it's actually really good coffee. Definitely from experience.
It's the kind of place that has the bee from the health department. That's how you know the coffee's good. Have you always been down in Orange County, or did you move there for a reason? Or
I've been here like 5 years now. Originally moved here So I moved to LA, down in Torrance for breakup.
Oh,
and,
sorry to hear that.
And so I was just like, I need to get away from my breakup in New Jersey. So I picked geographically as far as fucking way I could.
Oh, okay.
So landed in LA.
But looking back, do you feel like that was a good move? Like, did that work out well, or do you feel like you should have done something different? Because that seems extreme to move because of a breakup, right?
Yeah, I mean, is it my best decision? No, right? But like, I got the luxury of hindsight, and definitely just the feeling of I'll make it work, right? And that's something I try to empower, at least with my clients, myself, my community. Is like, hey, dude, like shit happens. Let's we can feel shitty about it, but let's remember to be like, you're empowered and you can change your direction at any time.
I could tell you this: when I was 20 or 21, there was a gal that I would have moved to Alabama for, and like I'm so lucky. And
oh man, we're just talking about Alabama today. Wait, so finish that story, then I'm gonna ask about Alabama.
No, well, she was in college there. It wasn't like she was an Alabaman, but at any rate, I was so like a young guy head over heels, that I was like, well, what am I here for? Like, I'd rather be there, kind of thing. With nothing keeping me here. But lucky for me, she did not like me as much. So looking back, like I foresee that probably would, looking back, that probably would have been a train wreck in many ways. Yeah. I can't imagine that would have gone well in the big picture or the long run, with the perspective of time, looking back.
Well, yeah, I was just about that age, that breakup I moved away from, like, I was 22, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is girl that I'm gonna marry. Make my parents proud, because for once she's actually Chinese and she's got
she's checking all the boxes.
She's checking all the boxes, getting a PhD, knows all that, and then it's like you get lost in it, right?
Yeah.
And what we're not teaching is, young people, especially young men. With all the Asian, like, you need to get married and have 2.5 kids ASAP. It's like, bro, that your rest of your life is a long ass time.
Yeah.
To just like not think it through.
Yeah, but I think our emotions are stronger at that age, right? And definitely. And every experience is the first time, so everything seems important. Everything seems like this is world changing. Because you're going through it for the first time each time that you do something new. So
And what it's not tempered against is like elders who are like, hey, like pump the brakes a little. And I'm not like raining on your parade, pump your brakes, but it's like, hey, like, this is a holistic thing. This is not you went to the store and you picked up a girl and like next to your cereal. This is like, no, this is picking your your romantic partner is probably one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your life.
Wait, dude. I'm very careful about my cereal picking too, though. You don't want too much sugar in your diet.
Oh yeah. I'm allergic to nuts, so half of them are out the door. Right.
Same thing with crazy women. Different kind of nuts.
That's good one.
So my Alabama story thing is, I have a friend that just messaged out of the blue. We haven't talked in almost, I think, 10 years, but he says he's out in Alabama, or I assume his Facebook profile says that. And then he said, hey, is your wife looking for a job? Because my wife's Vietnamese, or she just came from, I just got the visa stuff, the green card and everything. She's just been in America about 2 years now.
Wow.
So then, thank you. And then he said, hey, I need a manicurist. And they make around, I think he said $4,000 to $5,000 a month, $1,000. And then I was like, then I started thinking Alabama, like my
that's like $6,000 or $7,000 in adjusted dollars.
Yeah. Yep. But then my overly cautious self was like, man, I don't know what it's like in the South nowadays. I think racism has gone down a lot, but then I'm dealing with a wife that doesn't know English fluently, and things could go good. I mean, I don't know the statistics on how much racism truly there is out there. I've only driven by once, so it doesn't even count. I literally just was driving from Florida to Texas at one point. And during that drive, it was like there was nothing out there. It's like, man, if you get in some trouble out there, like I hope I don't run into any rednecks or hillbillies.
Well, yeah. So you don't want. I mean, it would be extreme to have something violent happen, right?
I don't know what the stats nowadays. I can't imagine it's a whole lot, or else people wouldn't go there. But then we go into the.
No, but would I put up with some nonviolent racism for good money?
That's kind of, or it's more the chance. Would I put up with the smaller higher chance of racism for her to have
no, you got to look at it the right way. This is your chance to have your wife working and bring home the bacon, and you could be the house man. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I don't know if I want to go to Alabama that bad.
This job is remote, right?
Not so much. Yeah, I would recommend Georgia. I would actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what do you recommend about Georgia over Alabama? Because it's both Waffle House territory, right?
Yep, Waffle House territory. Established Vietnamese community. If Asian, it's not like super massive like we have here in California, but like it exists. And I did my university in Georgia Tech in Atlanta, so that whole area I'm pretty familiar with.
Hot Atlanta.
Would it be mainly big city living that you would suggest? Like once you get out to the countryside, does the ratio of white to colored people change dramatically?
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at the stats, like Asians are like what, 6% of America?
Yeah, correct.
Right. And so if you're looking at where I'm at, where you guys are at, right, it's highly skewed.
Yeah.
Highly skewed stats. If you're in the sticks, you're gonna have that massive culture shock, which I did moving from the Jersey. But I largely believe that everyone's same business. We just want to have fun, find love, have good times, and all that good stuff.
I think you need to look at the statistics for how many people disappear in the swamp.
I was trying to translate to Neum like that type of thing. I don't know how to explain to her, because America has a history or every country has a history of racism, because we're so tribal in human nature. But for us being Asian in America, I was like, I don't know how to explain to her my view of my odd fear of rednecks and hillbillies.
I mean, they're usually very polite.
Yeah,
Southern hospitality or Southern discomfort, depends on what you want to call the.
Yeah, Southern hospitality is real. like
Yeah.
strangely real.
Oh yeah. No, I met some people that were raised in the South that like came to California or Las Vegas. I've worked with them, and they're fantastically amazing people.
Yeah.
Really amazing people. But
I'm with you though. What you're saying is I don't know the current reality.
yeah.
I have all these stereotypes. I have the past and history and skewed entertainment and reports, but I don't know what the reality is in the South.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
All right, we should probably get started. I'm gonna throw in a couple things. So within 5 minutes for Emmett and I, and if Joe hasn't.
Was it? Did we not start?
No, we haven't. So actually, no. This
is gold.
No, this is one thing I'm about to bring up related to this. So within 5 minutes, we're gonna probably butt in if you're talking, and we're just gonna do the YouTube audience. Please hit the subscribe button. But on top of that, the recent analytics, Dr. Man.
Okay.
That video,
money.
Huh?
Money.
Oh, it's money. Oh shit, I've been saying man.
Big man works.
That video, we got flagged on the advertising, and it said that we're election advertising. There's 2 sentences out of 3 hours. 2 sentences. We were talking about testosterone. What's it called? Testosterone replacement
therapy.
Sure. Yeah.
And then at one point you're joking, and you said, "Oh, there's a billboard that says testosterone therapy works," and then he says, "Oh yeah, there's also billboards that says Trump is great."
Yeah.
Either that got flagged, literally just those, or there's a part where we're talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency where he says, "Hey, weren't you wearing an Andrew Yang shirt earlier?" And then I was like, "Yeah, go Andrew Yang, go." So there's only 2 references to anything political in that podcast over 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we got flagged for I can't get paid.
That disallows advertising.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, this political thing or the racist thing that we just talked about, I really like these conversations. So I'm going to probably keep it in, but unfortunately that means
Or can you do that conversation as a separate clip?
Oh, that's kind of a good idea.
Would that make sense?
Okay.
And get demonetized on those 5 minutes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to figure out. It's just more work.
Sorry, Howard, you're too dangerous right out the gate here.
Oh man, dude, we're only scratching the surface.
We're dancing on landmines already.
It's crazy that probably like 30%, 20 to 30% of the videos are getting disapproved because of some.
Because you like talking about that shit.
They say sensitive events is the other big one that we go through, and I'm like, what? We had an ex-cop talk about his profession. Like, but the other Wikipedia, how the guy that was about free information, why does he get flagged for sensitive events? That's so retarded. Well,
because it's not a person.
Sorry,
looking.
I shouldn't say.
Oh, you're going to
get. There we go.
Oh, he's got flagged again.
Actually, I should flag myself on that one.
You should pull that out. Yeah.
I need to stop saying that.
No, but I mean, so we're mentioning things that there's not a human watching it. It's an algorithm.
Yeah.
Any keywords, basically, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine it's just purely like keyword.
I'm gonna probably start appealing those, but I have a feeling it goes from a bot, then it goes to a person who the person has the person doesn't lose anything if they agree with me. That YouTube employee, if they just accept the bot thing, then they don't lose anything. So
there's no punishment for over restricting.
Yeah.
And no reward for
Yeah. So I hear other YouTube channels are running into a lot of these problems where they appeal and it doesn't work. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But okay, so we got to remember 5 minutes in. Within 5 minutes, do the subscribe. Say there's a subscribe thing. There's one other thing. What was it? No, I think those are the 2 things: subscribe and the sensitive events or whatever.
Okay, don't say the T word.
No, I think we'll figure out something eventually. And then, all right. Wait 1 moment. Okay, so let's get started. So Howard, thank you for joining us. So you have a chemical engineering degree, and if I got that correct, and go ahead and give us a quick bio of yourself.
I got a chemical engineering degree from Georgia Tech back in my younger days, and then I proceeded to do nothing with it. by going.
Damn it! I wanted to ask you a bunch of rocket fuel questions.
I can't answer that, but separate topic
right.
for separate reasons. But yeah, I graduated in 2011, which, if you guys remember, was a shit time to get a job.
Yeah, tough times. Yep.
And so I actually went into I worked for my dad
twice on the front end. We're trying not to swear on the first 10 minutes, but we've already failed twice.
I was told by recording that swearing is great.
Yeah, swearing good. We don't. Yeah, no, you're good.
The recording. The obscene stories are great and the cussing's okay, but we try to refrain for the first 10 minutes only. It's for the advertising thing with YouTube.
Got you. Yeah, we'll cut that out. Right?
No, that doesn't. No, seriously, it doesn't matter. I bleep it out for the first 10 minutes. It's all good.
Okay. Trying to save you some editing work.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'll probably even keep it in and bleep it so that people. I think as I'm going down this rabbit hole of YouTube thing, it's really interesting to see how YouTube's advertising is restricting certain topics and certain words. I think freedom of speech is not so free on YouTube. But not that it's terribly bad. It's just interesting to see what can get. I don't want to say blocked, but they still allow it. They just make it really tough for people to find it.
Okay. All right. So you finished Georgia Tech chemical engineering degree 2011, and you would have become a chemical engineer if there were good jobs out there, or you weren't really into it?
So the nuance there was at the time, that ex-girlfriend we were talking about, she was studying up in Massachusetts, and I wanted to be near her.
Yeah. Follow your ding dong.
So I ended up working for Dad for a little bit because I could move back home in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And when that all fell apart and whatnot, I said, okay, I'm gonna just kind of YOLO it, right? And so I moved out to for a job in sales engineering, and they put me in outside Chicago for a little bit. Put me up in NorCal a little bit by Dublin, Pleasanton, and then finally down here in
nice
LA.
Area. Okay, wait. So you went to New Jersey to be close to Boston?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a train that goes over, or what's the?
I just drove. It's like a 3-hour drive.
Oh yeah. When you're 20, that seems like not a big deal. I'm 45, so the idea of like driving 3 hours for somebody you love is an alien idea. Like. I mean, what's the drive? Vegas to California? We got a bunch of relatives and
about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh well, 3.5 to certain parts of Orange County.
Yeah,
I can do. Yeah, you just do it late at night. Driving a little faster than 65, and you'll make it.
You'd have to be really hot to get me down to the state line from here. Which is what, about 35 minutes?
About an hour. About an hour. Isn't state line an hour?
I don't know. I'm just fucking around. Depends on how fast you're going, I guess.
Or are you thinking Pahrump? Pahrump, you get some love out there.
They're obviously not hot enough because I haven't been going in the 12 years in Vegas. I've never run to Pahrump, even for fireworks. Most people go out there because it's a different county, so you get stronger fireworks out there. But yeah, okay. So
after the chemical engineering degree, then actually you could even start from current and then go backwards if you want to. So what are you doing currently?
Currently, I own my own business, Thriving Turtle.
Thriving Turtle.
Coaching. Yeah, it's for emotional intelligence, building that up in our Asian American community. It's a topic that I think is just not visited, and it's so important for just happiness, for satisfaction, for just kind of everything you do in life.
Dude, emotional intelligence in the Asian American context sounds like disappointing your parents.
Absolutely. Right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we got the math straight on that one.
and that's actually a huge topic of mine, is actually like teaching parents, or like if you're about to have kids, you want to plan to have kids, like we learn a lot about like how we don't want to parent from our experiences, from looking up. Yeah, but that doesn't fill the gap of what do you want to do, nor you do have the practice run of that, right?
Yeah. And
so your natural default is just whatever worked for me. I didn't die. I came out okay, right?
Yeah.
And we call that generational trauma.
Well, so what's the goal here? Is to make happier people?
The goal is to really empower people to one is, be happier, but to have a sense of individuality in America while still balancing your, Asian heritage and culture. I think it can exist simultaneously. I personally had my own identity crisis. Like, I'm not Asian enough for the fob Asians. I'm not white enough for the Caucasians, right? So where do I fall in? And
Yeah.
the reality is, I had to carve out my own Asian American identity, and nobody taught me that. For the longest time, I was under impression like I had to fit into the established groups.
Yeah, I'm not Asian.
Emmett's half Vietnamese. He may not look like it.
Yeah.
So what for Thriving Turtle, what are some of the key customers or perfect customers that come that would fit what you're looking for?
My perfect customer is right around 20, 30, 40s. Older, if you're older, that's where we're starting. That's cool. You're living in an Asian Western background. So I've had clients in Canada, Australia, same topics, slightly different accents, sort of thing. And typically, but not limited to like a STEM background. And I say that because that's the one I'm most familiar with. That chemical engineering degree is popping in and making its value. And you're really at this point where you want to transition out of the path that was put in front of you, and you really want to say, hey, I think there's more than that. Beyond that, you have no idea what you're doing. That's fine. That's what I'm here for, to work with you, do the hand holding, to reassuring that, hey, this will work out. I know so because I did the hard work, and I feel better than I've ever had. I feel less stressed, happier, looking forward to just, like waking up.
And you look like $1 million.
Thanks.
You look like a happy son of a bitch. Oh, I said it. Yeah. You look like
10 minutes yet.
And also YouTube. Remember to click the subscribe button. We need your help. And also check out our Patreon. I know you're watching. I see the numbers. I see a lot of views on the videos, but not too many people are clicking like or subscribe. I see.
Help us.
Yeah, some obscene number, like 600 views, 500 hours out of the 600 views. So that's 40 minutes on average per person. So click subscribe.
If you've enjoyed at least 30 minutes of this, please just subscribe for us.
Yeah.
It'll help us keep doing what we're doing. And then you get to find out how Liem and Howie turn out a couple years from now. Yeah.
if this is going well, or we crash and burn,
whether they become like super anti-Asian, misfit, maladjusted, angry,
or I become crypto rich and then I turn into a weird person that wears a hat all the time, even indoors with glasses.
Oh, who are we talking about?
I see a lot of rich people where they go towards hats and scarves. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, hats indoors.
Huh.
Anyways, it's more the eccentric rich people. But all right, back to Thriving Turtle. Yeah. So Thriving Turtle, is there a common theme that you see? So is it literally just Asians in their 20s, 30s, and 40s? They come to you and say, "Hey, I'm having an issue finding the perfect job, or staying in a job, or I don't feel successful where I'm at," or what's the common issues?
So what happens usually? It's usually one or two topics that are like key, like dumpster firing right now. Often relationships or career, because these are two big things. And there are very few outlets to talk about these topics in depth and feel safe and secure. I would just ask you guys, like, how was the last time you talked with your parents about your sex life, right? That's a hard never for 99%, right?
Yeah, I would feel like I was bragging.
Right. And yet, this is a huge topic: sexual identity, sexual health, consent, boundaries, all roll into that.
What if your parents are always pressuring you to make grandchildren? Does that count?
Yeah. And they're like, do you know how this works? Right. First off, you need to have a girlfriend. Then you, and I'm like, yeah, like,
yeah,
it was literally the, hey, your university, don't get girls pregnant the day after. if you get her pregnant, we'll make do with it, sort of thing. And I was like, that is not healthy at all.
Did your parents ever give you any pressure to stay within your heritage? Because I know that happens for a lot of Asian Americans, is that you have this pressure to marry into your own culture from the parents, right?
So not specifically my parents, but in my extended family, they were like, some would be like, hey, yeah, don't date Koreans. If you kind of remember the Korean War, it wasn't that great. And some would be like, hey, don't date Japanese. You remember World War II? Wasn't that great time?
Yeah.
Right. And I grew up in New Jersey with all of these groups. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm awkward nerd, and I think they're cute. That's
yeah. And none of us were in that war, so we kind of don't hate each other.
Right. And so there's, again, those generational passed on of like, yeah, like I understand the suffering and struggles of the generations before. But why should I color my decisions?
Yeah, we're in a whole new world now where BTS is hot shit.
So I'll add my story, and then I'm also flag it. I'll flag it because I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want this online, but we'll see.
You don't want to date Koreans either?
No, I love Koreans. It's actually so my mom, when I was dating a Filipino back in high school, she got upset one day. It was kind of yelling at me. I'm like, "Moms, what's all this hostility?" And then she said, well, just be careful who you date and all this stuff. And, that Filipino girl, you can't trust her, or you should be careful. I'm like, whoa, why are you saying that? And then I said, well, what if I dated a white girl? And then she's like, oh, they don't know how to treat you. They don't know how to treat men. Like, okay, what about a Mexican girl? And then she's like, well, they're cheap. They're not going to treat their men very good. So it ended up being...
I like how she had these good reasons for each ethnicity.
Yeah. So at the time, I was like, either you hate all races or you're alluding to you want me to date Vietnamese. At that time, I wasn't thinking fast enough. I kind of wish I would have had her answer on the Vietnamese just to see if she wanted me to date inside the culture.
Just there weren't any Vietnamese girls around for you to...
Oh, yeah, where we lived, yeah. I lived in an all-white neighborhood, so it would have been... Actually, there was two Vietnamese girls at that high school, actually, out of 2,500.
Dang.
Something like that. So, I was one of the 5 Asian people, one of the 6 Asian people. But so anyways, back to the, I forget why you asked that question to Howard, if there's the Asian.
Well, no, I'm curious what your story ended up with. Is it just your mom didn't want you to date? What do you think your mom actually wanted?
It was I thought she either wanted me to date Vietnamese, or she just didn't want me to date because as a mom, she's afraid of me getting someone pregnant and the troubles of dealing with a girl and having a son dating a girl. So so she just wanted to yell at me just to make me scared.
So it wasn't a real rational.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that's actually a great illustration of like how much in Asian American culture is a fear-based relationship, right? Don't do this or your parents are going to flip out on you, or you're going to dishonor your ancestors or something like that. And it's not like a caring or love-based relationship of like, hey, like, son, I love you. Therefore, like, let me teach you why, you shouldn't go around getting girls pregnant for your sake.
I should just add, so before I make my mom sound bad, if I do keep this clip in, my mom dated, I guess it was mostly white guys, but I mean, I don't view her to be racist. So I think that story was just an illustration of the complications of being a parent and dealing with your child. And then also the one thing I will add that causes, I don't know if I want to say racism, but a cautionary take on life. When you're brought from a war-torn Vietnam, you come to America and you get help from potentially a lot of white people through the military and whatnot, but then there are things that you live through where you see potential racism at you, but you also see people helping you. So it's a confusing thing for Asians. So that's just something I do not think she's racist. I think I want to say that she was raised in very difficult times for her to make some very difficult decisions.
Well, that is a weird thing. If you grow up in Vietnam, everybody's Vietnamese, right? Yeah. And then a war happens, and then you escape to a place where you are now some minority, and everybody around you is different. So that's got to be a difficult thing to handle as a parent? And then how do you clear your own head before you even start to teach your children?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, the answer is a lot of them don't get the opportunity. They're too busy trying to survive.
Yep.
I think about like the diaspora around the world and all these like major conflicts, whether it be like a World War, or Korean War, or like British people in India leaving in like the late 50s. Vietnam is obvious. Southeast Asia is still a little conflicty, right? And there's just all this diaspora, and there's so much of like, we need to do stuff to not die. And I think of like Vietnamese diaspora in like Minnesota. I'm like, things were so bad that they picked a snowbound place, and they're like tropical people, and that was an improvement, right?
Yeah.
So
there's 8,000 Vietnamese people in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Like of all places, right?
Yes. Thank you, Catholic Charities, for saving 8,000 Vietnamese people.
Right. So I'm part of advocating of like, we have the opportunity, this generation, to transition from a survive mindset to a thriving mindset, whichever side there is, right? Where we're, for our parents, let's say, for our parents' generation, like screwing up meant you died, or like things sucked humongous ass. And they teach us those lessons. But for me, it's like, if my business tanks, I'll get a job. I'll be unhappy, but it's nowhere nearly the scope of penalty of failure. And that took me years to unlearn, because I would be so anxious to make decisions, because it's like, is it the right decision, or am I going to like screw up my life? Reality, that wasn't an issue at all.
Yeah.
How did you get started with Thriving Turtle? So what was the build up before that? What career were you doing, and then what made you start Thriving Turtle?
My career, I mentioned that sales engineering. I discovered that it's learning sales is a great skill set. I'm an introvert. I hate talking to people. So that didn't work out. I moved into aerospace defense because I was unemployed, and being paid beats not having money.
Yeah, right? Job good.
And then I gradually moved into IT, software analyst, and those type of positions. And my previous job before this business was working remotely as a PLM, which is product lifecycle management architect, analyst. And my transition was really during COVID. I had, like many of us, way too much time to think, way too few things to do. And I realized, man, I'm not happy, right? I was okay.
You weren't happy as a product lifecycle management analyst associate?
No, man.
Okay. What is that actually doing? What does that mean to somebody outside of the corporate?
So, when you build a product from it's a drawing on a picture to like, this is made in a factory in Vietnam, China, whatever. Yeah. There's a whole development process. Instead of throwing it in Excel and praying to Excel gods, you organize it in a meaningful way so that data can go in and go out more seamlessly than just look in the folder and I hope I'm in the right folder.
Okay. Were you dealing more with an actual physical product or software products?
So I did that in aerospace. So it was planes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I did my next position. It was consumer electronics. And my last one was furniture. Right. So going from start to finish is like, there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of revision. There's a lot of quality inspections. That's marketing materials. That's all got to come together or it's product go on the shelf.
Is it more exciting working on warplanes than couches, or is the job such that it's the same thing regardless of the product?
Honestly, like the coolest thing I actually got to see was the James Webb Space Telescope.
Ooh.
What? Liem loves the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yeah, I was going to tell you about the analytics on our YouTube stuff. James Webb Telescope is trending. So I was thinking we should try to find that was my post on Facebook looking for, I don't know if you saw James Webb Telescope, somebody that's worked on it. Yeah. Even a contractor or something. I would like to interview somebody.
Wait, are you saying you worked on the James Webb Space Telescope?
I did not work directly. I watched other dudes work on it.
You saw it with your own eyeballs?
I did.
Okay, look, this man has been next to the telescope.
How about this? I'll try to hook you up with my buddy who was on an actual team.
Awesome.
Building it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, just for the heck of it, I mean, what little info while standing there watching somebody or dealing with was it the product life cycle?
What were you doing with the telescope?
Were there pieces in there with the?
I didn't interact with it. I tried to get on that project.
Oh, okay. You're near. Okay.
I've seen it. I saw it in its bay where it's being hand built by dudes in bunny suits.
It's real. It's not a conspiracy.
No.
Okay.
Nice. Well, also the idea of that telescope is it's not visual, right? It uses some other wavelength to peer deeper into the universe.
Yeah, I don't know the actual details.
Well, I thought you were a fan of it.
It has like seven. I only know like 7 layers to protect it from the heat of the sun, and it's like as long as a football or tennis field.
Yeah,
tennis court, and then, but there's other. I think there's different sensors, not just a. I think there's light and then heat and a bunch of different sensors. I think something like, I don't even know. I want to say over 10, but.
Gotcha.
Anyways, kind of something jumping. I forget what Emmett said, but it made me think about if you were unhappy with your work and it made you leave, and then you created Thriving Turtle. Maybe do you have thoughts on how the 9-to-5 job sucks? I think that's an interesting topic.
Let's talk about how much it sucks to clock in.
Just as in, we as humans is. I mean, I'm thinking from a Thriving Turtle standpoint. Having someone clock in to work 9 to 5, is that something that's
no, you can't be going out on the internet and telling millions of people to quit their jobs, bro. You're gonna deconstruct our society if people don't
I'm okay
show
with
up.
that. Deconstructing, but to construct something, to criticize it for something better, critically breaking it down.
People need to show up to their cubicles.
Oh, we're all about open office plans, man. So cute.
Oh, like it's any different. You still get a little thing, right? Your desk, your little territory.
And it doesn't help with globalization. I was supporting teams in Vietnam, supporting teams UK, Hong Kong. So it's like 9 to 5 was actually like 7 to like 4 plus showing up at 6 p.m. randomly, and some weekends, all that. But to answer your question, it's not that the 9 to 5 is bad. I think the way we institute it is not that great. I think the reasons we suck it up and subscribe to it are terrible. And I think reality is, I don't believe everyone should start their own business, but I don't think you should have a barrier to try, right? You will have insecurity, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. What the hell am I doing? Right. That was my story. But
I mean, that was great that you said not everyone should start a business. I agree with that. I think there are some people that when I work in at a company where there's 2,000 employees, and I could see certain people they seem super happy, or they seem some of them were actually really happy, but there are some that I want to say content.
Some of them are on prescription drugs.
Some of them, I don't know. Maybe they were on drugs, but some of them did seem they were content. And I think that's a great word for, if you're content in a 9 to 5, that's great. But oddly, I think human beings, I forget who said this, where we as hunters and gatherers, we used to go catch a deer, and there's massive amounts of endorphins from catching that deer, bringing it back to the tribe and eating it. But nowadays we go to work 2 weeks later, or 4 weeks later, whatever it is, your pay cycle, you go get a check, then you could go buy some beef at the store and then grill it at home. The abstraction is so far where we've lost emotional connection with this world, this construct. That's just my theory. I don't have an answer for it. I
think there's a different way to look at it, though, is that, say you're in America, you turn into an adult. If you start with nothing, right? You don't have experience, a career, or whatever, right? Going to get a job and showing up 40 hours a week, somebody will give you a paycheck, and that'll allow you to rent a place to stay, you know, figure out your transportation, buy food, and kind of get these necessities down. But we do live in a much more complicated world in that we also need things like insurances and subscriptions to digital entertainment. And so to get those kind of things is not as simple as being a hunter-gatherer, because a hunter-gatherer would get the meat and then go live in their tent or whatever, right? And there wasn't more to life. But this life that we have now has all of these wonders, the possibility of travel, right? The possibility of communication. And I think to have all of this incredible society, the average person in the U.S. gets all this stuff that would blow a caveman's mind away, right? So is it a fair trade to say, hey, look, I started with nothing. If I show up here and do a good job, they're going to pay me, you know? And for a lot of people, if you enjoy that security and know, hey, look, all I got to do is show up and give my good effort and do a good job, and then I'll keep getting paid. I'll have insurance. I'll be able to take care of my kids, you know? So I think for a lot of people, that is exactly what they need, right? I can buy a new Toyota. You know, if I'm not too stupid with my money, I can do well. And you know what? If I keep at it and do a great job, I can move up and do better and better. So I think, you know, depending on the person or the company or the career, right? It can be good for a lot of people, I think.
Until I think I theorize many people get to the point in America where you start seeing that there's inequalities. And I agree with what you're saying. I'm just adding I don't know whether somebody's 25 years old or 35 years old. Once they reach a point where they're watching enough news, they're seeing corporate greed, and they start questioning that American lifestyle. I totally agree. Yes, we have, if you're born in America, you are rich. When you look at, you could be the poorest person in America, you are considered rich in the sense that if you have drinkable water and a place to sleep, that is rich to the rest of the world. When you're looking at so many millions of people starving in Africa or India or whatnot.
Dude, so many Americans are too snobby to drink tap water.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think you guys are hitting it like solidly on the head, like, you know, with this transition into society and having this contentness, right? It's not wrong. It's more of, do we set us up for success where we understand fundamentally, what does my job or career serve me? You know, you work at SpaceX, you work for Elon Musk, right? But is it, you get to work on cool stuff? You know, if that's the part that you're really looking for, then yeah, it serves. If you're not there for that, you know, there's a lot of stories about how it's not great working conditions.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like if you're there doing amazing stuff, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
but if you want the highest paying, you know, reward for your effort, then there might be a different company that'll pay you better to do less of a job.
Absolutely. And I think you actually hit it, you know, a topic. I have extreme bias on this, so if you have to cut it out for monetization. But you said, you know, how we have to have a job to have insurance. That is literally saying we'll keep you alive as long as you produce for the community. So there's literally no space to just be like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying like disconnect from society, go full hippie and, you know, go on a commune. I'm literally saying like, I've been working for 10, maybe you guys for 10, whoever's listening, 10, 20, 30 years. And like, you literally do not have the opportunity to just, I'm going to take a month off to get my head on straight. We're busy surviving a global pandemic. Maybe I need a month to just feel like, yeah, I've struggled, I've suffered, I've known people who passed away. I'm more aware of struggles in Syria, Ukraine, you know, pick it, right? Where's your opportunity to just rest and heal?
Yeah, even for the job interviews, there's a lot of, at least in the IT world, I'm assuming this is in maybe other fields, but in the IT world, if you have a 6-month break on your resume, because in the IT field, if you've done well for yourself, your salary is pretty decent, so you could probably save up money and take a 6-month break. But if you go interview somewhere and some hiring manager says, hey, you have a 6-month break between this time, what's going on? And it's a very, very negative connotation on that situation.
Were you smuggling drugs or what?
They take it. No, actually, I think I had a, man, it's been so long. I think I had a 3-month break on one of my jobs, and I don't remember if they actually said it. They were saying, "Oh, were you not good enough as a programmer to be hired somewhere else?" And it took you 3 months to find a job. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of, geez, man, you really jumped to conclusion there. That's ridiculous.
I think it's you're falling out of the normal behavior.
Yes.
Is what's really happening, right? So for the average American, there's this desperation to stay employed because they've run their expenses up to max out their income. So they've trapped themselves into not being able to take time off.
And what if it was like, hey, yeah, I took 3 months off because my family member is going through some treatments and hiring a caretaker is ridiculous. And frankly, no one's going to caretake like I caretake because I just love them. That sounds like a reasonable, reason to me. And yet, like you said, we're going to look down upon it. Nor do I owe anyone any explanation, right?
Yeah. It should have been in those situations. Just ask the hiring manager should just ask and not imply or conclude that I'm unhireable because of I took a 3
No, but you don't understand because now that threatens their insecurity.
No, that really does. I think because then
projecting.
I think
I'm stuck to this job. How come you're not stuck to a job?
There was a different company where they interviewed me. This wasn't that I took a break, but the way I answered their questions, they started asking me, "Are you going to be what was the word? Are you going to be loyal to our company? Are you going to plan to be here for 5 years? We want you 40 to 60 hours a week for the next 5 years." I'm thinking,
hell no.
Yeah,
this is
I'm
a
thinking
business relationship.
You guys are running a business. I myself am a business. I'm in this field to make money.
Yeah.
So if I find an offer letter from somewhere else that pays a lot more, then I'm going to consider it. If this company that I'm working for and they don't treat me well, then I'm going to look for somewhere else. But it was a weird way. They were looking for a workaholic. They were trying to question me to say, "Hey, are you a workaholic? We want you at."
No, they want the guy that will give the most to the company, right? They're not there to help.
Looking for someone to take advantage of.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme. I have to say it. It was like some dude went for an interview and I was like, "Hey, can you explain the gaps in your employment?" He goes, "Yes, I can. Can you explain the gaps in your staffing?" Yeah. Why don't people want to work here? Yeah. Why do you need to hire somebody?
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm 100% on board with that. And it just leans into more like, this life is short business. And one of my dreams is like, I want to go live in Hawaii for like 3 months. Hawaiian shirt helps, right?
Wait, why 3 months?
Because I feel like all that tropical weather, I'm going to get tired of it. I'm like, it's a wonderful place, but it's also tiny islands, and there's only so many things to do in tiny islands.
Summer or winter?
I'm going to pick winter.
I don't know what the difference is in Hawaii, but
I think
no tourists is the difference.
Smart man.
Because don't they have hurricanes or during the November? Is it
not Hawaii?
Don't they have?
Oh, they have like extra rainbows.
What do they call it out there? It's not hurricanes.
Typhoon?
It's not monsoons. Typhoons?
Extra rainy?
Okay, maybe. Anyways.
Hawaii's paradise.
Yeah.
How would you do this? Would you Airbnb a mansion, or could you buy a van when you get there and then sell the van?
That van life, like every time I see it, is like, it looks cool. And then I remember I'm 5'10". I cannot stand up in these things.
They have taller vans now.
Like the Mercedes Sprinter?
The Sprinter, yeah. I pay extra pretty penny for that one. They're like $100K.
What's you get for being tall, sucker?
Oh no, I'm Asian and tall. I can't win it.
If you like tall Asian stuff, please like and subscribe to this podcast.
All right, let's jump out of this work sucks topic, and then let's jump into, so before Thriving Turtle, you were contracting to, or was that contracting to aerospace? Full time?
Yeah, to the furniture company, managing their PLM system.
Okay.
And like I said, I was thinking way too much about what I was doing with my life and what I was going to do coming out of this global pandemic. And it really hit me. And it's like, yeah, I'm not just okay is not good enough anymore, because I do not want to be the guy who wakes up and like, I'm 60 now, I'm quote unquote retired or something, and now I'm going to start my life.
No, 67, bro.
Okay.
Hey, did you learn anything in the furniture world that us average people don't know?
That furniture is expensive, and if you can just go straight to like Indonesia, Vietnam and buy it, it is so cheap.
Yeah, but then you got to ship it, right?
And now you figure out the expensive part.
Oh, okay.
You got to put it in a container, and how many, like 60-inch sofas can you shove in a container?
Can I make my own couch? Is there anything special to it? Is it just wood and cloth and stuff?
You can make it. Will it be comfy? Do 2 or 3 rounds. I think you'll get there.
All right. Is that your desktop that's chiming? You got booty calls coming in or what?
I hope so.
If you drop out immediately, we'll know that you got a great booty call, and we'll be cheering for you.
And hopefully the drive is less than 3 hours.
For sure. My partner, she's just downstairs, so she'll get a hoot from that. But
so much closer than 3 hours.
Much closer.
All right. How long were you doing that furniture? PNL?
PLM. I did that.
Wait, what does that stand for? Product life management? Product lifetime?
Product life
cycle management.
Okay.
I did that for about a year, right?
And then what were you doing before that?
Same thing, different company.
For how long?
That was like a little over 2.5 years.
Did you say you're doing that for aerospace? Or?
No, that was consumer electronics. Aerospace before that was, I did that for like 1.5 years or so. And before that was same company, but in quality, doing a lot of part inspections and production equipment inspections.
Helicopters?
You can't DOD lawyers say I can't say anything.
Okay. So really cool airplanes.
I'll put it this way. You get a clearance and it's like, oh, it's cool, it's secret. Bro, it's worse. Oh. It's bureaucratic nightmare.
Oh yeah. We got to keep our secrets, man. You can't let the bad guys know what we got.
The worst part is getting that clearance is like, there's this form called SF-86, and it's, if you're getting clearance, fill out 120 pages.
Oh.
And part of it's like, I need you to give me the last connection, people who've known you for the last 10 years who can vouch for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not sure if I have friends who will vouch for me.
Huh. Yeah, you'd have to really rewind back to like high school and college and.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't really keep track of my friends. We're not really close.
I don't remember it being 120 pages. I did it back in 2003. And I remember that it was up to 10 years. Every address that you lived at, anybody that could vouch for those addresses and those timelines of where you worked. But
you try my landlord, bro. It's a bunch of checks with my name on it.
And I think I want to say it was like 20, 30 pages, maybe 20. But it is lengthy because you're trying to fill in every time you change an address and every time you change the job and where you banked and all.
Was it like, have you ever traveled to Istanbul?
Oh man, they're like, have you ever been to China? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, do you know anyone who's in the Communist Party? I'm like, probably, because they survived.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the FBI agent came and interviewed. When he came to interview me, he came to my place, knocked on the door, and then he asked if we could go sit in his car and talk. And I was like, "Oh, do you want to come in?" He's like, "No, it's more private in the car." And then so it was actually super easy. He just said, he must have I'm guessing he probably memorized a bit of that paperwork that I sent in. So he just kind of clarified some stuff, or he was probably listening to my story to make sure it connected. So he's like, yeah, when you lived over in this part in San Diego, what was the address again? What was the color of the house? It was really, really easy.
I never knew you went through that.
That was I want to say 2000. By the time I want to say I submitted the paperwork, this was probably 2006, and then I think I completed in 2007. I might be somewhere.
He probably saw how shitty your apartment was, and he's like, this guy's not getting paid by any foreign governments right now. He's not on anybody's bankroll. That's
probably because I think I did open the front door pretty wide, so he probably could see inside pretty well. So yeah.
What's that, a Nintendo Cube? You guys broke.
But I was surprised how easy that interview went. He asked a few questions. I feel like it was only 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think he turned on the radio because I was actually from your dad that told me your dad said when he went through it, don't be surprised. He said, don't be surprised if they ask you to go to a hotel room because that hotel room might be better sound suppression or whatever.
Jamming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the car, he actually turned up the radio a tiny bit, just enough to, I don't know, just to get some extra sound in there.
Probably seeing if you know the oldies. Howie,
How American is he? From Billy Joel to K-pop.
Gangster rap? He's in. He's good. What is the turtle referencing in your Thriving Turtle?
Funny about it is it was just my favorite animal growing up.
Oh.
And I wanted to put some ownership of me into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's turtle. Like you're going slow. Something auspicious in Asian culture, and I just like it.
I'll tell you this: there's always this distinction between turtles and tortoises, and I couldn't tell you which one's which. One of them is on the land, and one of them has flippers.
Yep,
is that the thing?
Yep.
I actually don't know. For as much Animal Planet stuff I watch, I don't know.
I'm gonna guess the tortoise has flippers.
Opposite. Turtle.
That's wrong.
Sea turtle. Tortoise looks like a. Walks on land, looks like an elephant with a house on it.
Yeah. Sea turtles. Wait, what was it? Tortoise is on land.
Tortoise.
Yeah.
Turtle is flippers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just think of Finding Nemo, the sea turtle.
No, well, that's probably where I messed up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had no flippers.
Yeah, but they had swords.
Yeah. They spent a lot more time in the pizza joint than in the ocean or the sewer.
Yeah, and they had, was it radioactive waste?
Yeah. Okay.
What are some interesting stories from clients that you dealt with through Thriving Turtle? Like some of the things that you helped out with, something. Yeah.
Tell us their personal story without their whole. Oh.
hide the things that you need to hide.
So I'll start off with this. I was actually more surprised at how similar our stories were across the board, across countries, across ages, across backgrounds, which was huge. And I felt like to directly answer your question, like one of the funnier or more interesting topics we talk about is all about like, just kind of like, I want to stick it to my parents and be myself, but I'm scared to. And it's all variations of that. And it made me really think about how our culture has this relationship with our older generation, with our personal identity. And I actually, in some ways, compared to like, if you're LGBTQ plus and you're coming out of the closet, I think there's a lot of similar of that with Asians. So saying like, I don't want to, you actually might be LGBT plus and you're coming out to your parents and you're like, oh no, my parents are going to murder me. Right. Or like, I don't want to work in a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or I don't want to marry within my ethnicity or any of that. And it really struck me of just like how not depth of a relationship we have with our older generation.
Yeah, I'll add my personal story on that. So growing up, I felt that my parents and family were very strict on me. So I had a very similar mindset when I turned 18 years old. I wanted to do things my way because I was always yelled at growing up through the Asian household. And then on top of that, as I got more experience in life, and it came quick because for me, luckily, I'm just my brain is always thinking. So I take, when I'm going to work at a corporate area, or I'm going to study at university, I'm kind of looking at how people are interacting with each other and how people treat each other. So then I think about how my parents treated me. And I know it's different when you're dealing with maybe a professor or a best friend or even buying something at Starbucks, but you start seeing things that, for me, I was like, no, that's my parents said to do this and do it this way, or else I'm going to do it wrong. And it was very strict. I'm like, well, when I go to a Starbucks and order it this way, nobody's going to yell at me. When I go to work, and especially things that were almost very contradicting to what they were saying. So to go pursue my computer networks degree, and they being Vietnamese, they thought maybe going towards nail salons or cutting hair would be an easier route. And to me, as soon as I turned 18, or not, when I started going to college for it, I was like, I think there's a path here. I think I can make a lot of money doing this. It might take some time to get through school, but I think there's a lot of money here. And through some drama and financial situations, I don't blame my parents, but they didn't want me to go to a certain college for how much it costs, even though it wasn't that much really. But they didn't want to sign co-sign for the loan. And that really caused me, I wanted to do it even more because they didn't want that. And even after I got, 5, 7, 8, 10 years later, when they would see my offer letters from the companies I would get, and they still actually didn't really.
Wait, were you sending them offer letters just to say I told you so?
Kind of. That's how. So,
hey mom, check this out.
Maybe how Howard is saying how Asian, the common stories they wanted to stick it to the parents is, I was kind of trying to show my parents like, hey, this career is really, I'm making some money, so stop giving me a hard time. Just accept it. Accept it, and maybe even say, hey, son, you're being successful. Please say that to me. That'd be kind of cool. But
no, you can't say that.
Yeah, they would never say that. Yeah. So anyways, I really feel.
Is it a matter of Asian cultures tend to have very controlling parents? Is that?
It's hugely complex topic. We could go like hours and hours on it.
We are here to do that.
We got time.
So let's do it. Right. I think as generalized themes, one of them that I see is like a lot of parents are afraid that if they say, hey, good job, hey, you're doing great, right? That the kid will interpret as, oh, I don't have to work so hard anymore. And if the parents think, oh, they won't work so hard anymore, then they'll fall into second place, 10th place, whatever. They'll fall back, and then their life will be ruined and over. That's a very surviving mindset, because when you think of like when people were starving and you're fighting to the front of the food line, is you're first or you're starving. Again, that generational trauma being passed along. Another one is really just parents not knowing how to imagine, right? There was not that space to like, hey, what is, a lot of our parents come to America or in the West, like, here's a better life for our kids. But it's against their value set. Like, I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about getting shot, water's clean sort of thing. But they literally don't know how to imagine past that. And so that's actually the part where, the generation that follows, it's kind of lonely, right? And that's part of what I do, is to say like, hey, I want you to keep imagining, because if we want better for our community, we have to do things that, may have never been done before. We talk about like Asians in media, I don't know if you guys watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Crazy Rich Asians, or Bling Empire, right?
Oh, I haven't watched that one.
I haven't watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's pretty interesting. It's abstract. It's pretty abstract.
Oh, I watched Shang-Chi. Does that count?
It counts, right?
Okay.
Because you look about like 30 years ago, right? When we think about Asians in movies, like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, maybe
Yeah.
Hong Kong cinema or something like that. Like
Yeah.
these guys paved the way. And so, what about living a life of success? Well, beyond just having material wealth, how about happy? How about having romance in your relationships, of romantically satisfying? Whereas, I look at my parents, they look like roommates to me, right? I've never actually seen them hold hands.
No, but this fairy tale romance, that's a corrupting Western idea.
Right. And
do I really want to be waiting around for Prince Charming? Is that realistic? For him to love me for no reason, just because I'm pretty?
Interesting.
Sorry, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
But why can't we just be loved for being, right? Just
there are better people and worse people.
Oh yeah, there are better people. So why you?
Yeah.
Right? Of all the people in the world, someone said, I choose you, not in a Pokemon way. Like literally, I'm going to spend my time and energy and pool my resources and share my life experiences.
Yeah.
It's like, shit. Why can we do it better than this economically provides stability, right? This makes sense on paper.
I'm going to dive into a word you said earlier, is imagination. I think I've been thinking about this a little bit. Take my parents who came from Vietnam, the Vietnam War, came to America. So their education level is not going to be probably
it's less than an American high schooler.
Say, yeah. So let's take John Doe, who I'm just gonna make some potentially racist comment, but I don't mean it to be
about John Johnson.
So say John Doe, an average white guy.
No, that means he's dead though. You have to say like John Smith.
John Smith. So John Smith, his parents were probably born in America, and then their parents, so his grandparents were born in America. So they've had generational privilege, stability, privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So then probably his grandparents had the money, and then even the parents of the grandparents potentially were born in America too. So the grandparents were able to raise his parents, John's parents, and say, hey, whatever you want to be when you grow up, go for it. There's a key thing in that sentence that Asian potentially, I don't know if it's Asian culture, so there's something I'll throw out there for us to discuss. Mm-hmm. Is it built into the Asian culture to not say that, or is it because we came from hard times? Our parents came from hard times, meaning, so John Smith's grandparents had the opportunity to buy a house, probably have a car, and they told his parents, go ahead, be whatever you want to be when you grow up. And then his parents said that to John. So you get a generational line of this upbringing, this privilege, where then for Asians, our parents coming from Vietnam came to America, who had to work 2 or 3 jobs to get by, and their imagination doesn't go to that idea of be whatever you want when you grow up. The imagination is, I came from my parents saying, I'm going to kind of paraphrase what they would say. It's like, they came from a war-torn country, so it's my job to just do what they did, which is just find a job, get a paycheck, and get food on the table. So it's the difference of culture, upbringing. It's a combination of both. I don't really have an exact point. It's just
I have a point. There's too much of this follow your dreams bullshit.
But
no, isn't it great if your kid becomes a pharmacist?
No, I wouldn't. And in fact, I would say no.
You want your kid to smoke a lot of weed and work at Dairy Queen?
I would want them to be more than just a job.
I actually have to walk that back. I'm kind of turning into an anti-Dairy Queen. I was trying to make fun of myself from the last podcast where I was bagging on Dairy Queen as a job. I think it's not a career. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Dairy Queen or working there. But I don't think anybody can work there and say this is all the career, all the contentment, all the fulfillment I need. Because you can't get by on that pay.
If I had to try to combine what I think you're getting at, but also with the empathy of what I'm thinking of, is I think I would raise a kid. I think if I had a kid, I would try to tell them, you're gonna eventually get into a world where it costs money to live. For the first 18 years of your life, or maybe more, you will have parents to take care of you. But there's a point where you're going to have to potentially take care of yourself. Something could happen to me. Something could happen to your mom. For now, while we could take care of you, we hope to raise you in a way that gives you the opportunities to do whatever you want, but with the focus on that in someday you will have to take care of yourself. So every action you do, whether it be a job or get a paycheck, you have to think about yourself. Is it sustainable? Is it morally right?
I think if you can support yourself, then do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But I see way too many adults not supporting themselves.
Yeah. I think that's
like incapable, non-independent, non-productive people.
And so I'll jump in as like the kind of the middle of where, before I get tagged as some like libertarian anarchist, something like that, right? Like
it's all going down the tube.
we live in a society and a community. So I do believe in some ways we have to work together and we have to, in some way contribute.
Yeah. But
I'm also saying you're not defined by that. Right. So in your example of like, hey, wouldn't you be happy your kid is a pharmacist? I would say I would love if my kid was happy. If they were happy to be a pharmacist, if they were happy to be a yoga teacher, if they're happy to being a stand-up comedian.
No, stand-up comedians aren't happy. Talk about a place to not make money.
Yeah. And does it have a place in our society? Yeah, I do. And I take that, I actually really look up to stand-up comedians because they bring joy in places that may not normally have joy. And I think that is during this period of like COVID, I watched so much stand-up because I was like, man, people are killing it when I'm feeling like crap. People are, flipping and saying, here's a place where I can enjoy it or like see some silver lining. And I was like, that's the perspective I needed.
Yeah. So they're providing entertainment.
Entertainment is important.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
so then what I worry about is the individual who doesn't contribute at all to society and just consumes entertainment. Well, doesn't produce anything, doesn't make anybody else's life any better. They're just there living. And
for some, and I think we get into the argument of like we as a society has advanced so much that for some people that's all, if that's what they can really get out, that's okay too.
No, we all have a human potential.
No, man, that's man. I feel like we're at this point where we need to stop gatekeeping everything because we live in abundance, right?
Yeah.
So if all you want to do is just like doodle and play video games, and as long as you're like contributing, in some way, shape, or form, that's not achieving your potential, possibly. But like,
no, if you're just doodling and play video games, there's a cost to all the food you're consuming and the roof over your head and the healthcare and
and
the transportation.
Do we have an excess of food? Yeah. You're not transporting a lot, right? If you're healthcare, do we have an excess of healthcare? In large ways, yeah. I mean, excluding COVID and those bits, right? Yeah. We don't just leave people dying on the street.
No, we leave them dying of medical bankruptcy.
So there's a topic that I would definitely, say we need to do something about, right? Yeah. And just the idea of being, because this was very personal for me in that like, trying to disconnect my value as a man, my attractiveness as a man, by my ability to provide, right?
Yeah.
And just saying like, yeah, I'm not better or worse than anyone else because I make more or less sort of money or my career title status, houses, whatever, right? No, I'm just, who am I? Do you like me just for being me?
Yeah.
So on that,
I guess what I'm against is mooching.
Yeah, I think if all Americans were privileged enough, whether they're white, Asian, Mexican, black, or whatever, if they could,
Native American,
all of it, any human and any American, if they have the privilege to raise their children and teach them that what I said earlier, at the age of 18, you may have to take care of yourself, or it might be earlier, but morally teach them the morals, but teach them the morals where they should want to contribute to a society. Now, that kind of breaks down, I think, sometimes on when people when they get older, even the 20s or 30s, if you realize there's politicians screwing the system, there's these insurance companies screwing the system. Now, I don't know where I'm going with this point.
If the game is rigged, why should I even play?
At some point, when I hear other people, I complain a lot about that, me. But then when I see other people that give up on life, give up on if they want to be a bum, there's a part of me where I kind of empathize. I'm like, well, I could see it when I work.
Sounds pretty good.
When I work 9 to 5, I hate my job sometimes. I freaking want to go postal or kill myself. Not really. I should probably flag myself.
Not allowed to talk about
definitely going to get flagged.
No. It gets so bad where you don't like your job. You hate your job.
Yeah.
And you get movies like was it Falling Down back in the early 2000s. So
they didn't even say what his job was, did they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you're trapped.
Even the TV show Office Space, I think that has such hilarious connections to. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to show, how ridiculous the office can be. So is it working for all humans? I don't know. I was at the last podcast or before where I said I sometimes theorize is it just 10% of humans producing enough to sustain all of humanity. Because when I go into an office and I see how many people doing work, it seems
a lot of non-productive people.
It seems like a lot of non-productive people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a corporate environment, it seems obscene. I don't know how our world continues going. If the corporate world is like that, I imagine our government is 10 times worse.
Yeah, government workers are not typically...
Oh, no, not even that. Well, yeah, if government workers don't want to produce a whole lot, they just want to collect their salary because they know they're almost guaranteed to have their job. But then you get the other side of that is you get the politicians or high-ranking officials or whatever that can use their power for their gain.
Wait, is this what you're working towards, Howie? Do you want all these stressed out Asian Americans to defy their parents, drop out of their professions, and just go ahead and be happy?
I would say you don't have to drop out or anything, but I would say why not prioritize happiness? And I'll go back to maybe a flippant example. Let's just say you're a kid and you're 10 years old. Just pretend.
By the way, the messengers also, it gives us a sound over here too.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Goodness, how do I've already quit it out. I don't know how to disable it.
Oh.
Is there a volume button separate from the Zoom?
Sometimes it might be in the task area at the bottom right. What is it called? It's like a running app that even if you hit the X, it doesn't fully close it out. So you might have to right click, close it.
Okay, I'm going to turn it on and mute it. So hopefully mute notifications. I hope for 8 hours. Go away. Okay, cool.
This will make Howie look professional.
It's all good. So you were talking about the hating jobs type of thing.
Yeah, and an example I was going like, you're talking about like, hey, we're parents trying to prepare their kids for the world.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, what if just by sheer bad luck, you're like a 12-year-old kid and you lose your parents?
Yeah, that happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Right. I can go outside and be like, there are shelters or orphans like that. And I think about the community that I want to live in, that I imagine is, if random shit like that happens, I would love the community to step in and be like, hey, we're not going to make you super wealthy or, like, here's $1 million, whatever, but we will equip you to, empower yourself and like, hey, you want to go to school? We'll get you to school. You can, study something that meaningful for you, and you can be a part of society still and not just be, oh, you know what, sucks.
It sucks to be you.
Right. And I think we have the resources for it. Do we have crappy politicians? Yes. Do we have existing systems that don't make this work? Yes. But I'm thinking and dreaming of a tomorrow. And if today's today will get by, but I want a better tomorrow. That's the dream that every immigrant parent has for their kids. That's the part of the dream that I want to keep going.
Yeah, but Howie, if we help all these poor people, then I can't buy my BMW.
Sorry, man.
It has real wood on the dash.
Right? And I people definitely have accused me of being like idealist, naive, whatever. And the alternative is to believe I'm powerless and the world sucks and I can't change it the smallest bit. And I don't like that. Yeah. I change my world in small bits, and it brings me so much joy. Like more joy than making a 6-figure job in IT.
I think I'm a bit of a weirdo where I do feel that. I think I'm too small of a person, too small, figuratively speaking, in this economy, in this society, in this nation. But I will still take every effort to do things that I think are morally good. Mm-hmm. And I hope to produce a podcast that's awesome. I hope someday in the near future my investments will go well, where I could spend free time creating a cryptocurrency that could help the world, and or working on AI programming to help the world. I think so. When I think about like UBI, does it get to a point where if universal basic income, would too many people just sit and do nothing? I think there's still enough people like me that would still do things to help the world. Because I feel, I don't know what it is. I think humans, I theorize, there's at least 10, 20% somewhere that they are workaholics and or they want to do things to progress humankind. So I think a UBI would work, but there's no way to know. Currently,
no, people do greedy.
But like literally, what's the point of technology and automation if not to make our lives easier? Right?
So I can buy luxury goods and make other people in society feel jealous of me.
I hope you can buy luxury goods, and I hope you can cut off the second part and just enjoy your luxury goods, right? Because
no, there's no good to a luxury good if other people can't see I have the luxury goods.
I think that's a good time to bring out Jeff.
Does he buy expensive clothes?
He has a lot of automation that makes him a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
no, but what I'm saying is like, why do average working people buy Coach purses for $5,000?
Because they want to feel good.
And that makes them feel good because other people are jealous, right? They don't not show it to anybody.
For some people, when they do it as a function of I want to look down upon people, you're now describing my business of why emotional intelligence is a valuable thing, right?
Yeah.
What that whole scarcity mindset, I can only feel good if I make someone feel bad.
Yeah.
Is a load of shit. Right?
No, I can't enjoy my Range Rover if everybody else has a Range Rover.
Jeff agrees with you.
I fundamentally disagree, and I say this from I volunteer, I mentor high school kid, and I just do it because it feels good to give back to society. It feels good to be a resource that when I was 16, I wish I had, and man, my life would have been so different if I had it. I don't get paid for it. And anything I do beyond showing up on Saturdays is bonus. But man, does it feel good. It feels good to change your life. And I feel sometimes, if you're a parent, if you have a close friend that you can be there, whoever in your community, because we're humans. And so we're wired for community, right? How you build each other up is your business, right? But building each other up, serving each other, is actually really serving yourself, and segue to a point. This business that I'm built is the most selfish thing that I've ever wanted to do, because I want to build the world that I want to live in. This is my story. You guys, just as much as you guys are side characters in my story, and I'm a side character in your guys' story, right? This is about how do we party up in an RPG and make this work and go fight dragons or space aliens or whatever, right?
Okay. So, do we have a message for the Asian Hustle Network at this moment?
Because it's hustling.
No, but that's a lot of Asian American second generation that probably share the same angst, right? Same struggles.
Oh, so the Asian Hustle Network, if they, well, I mean, I think the message wouldn't be just to them, meaning any Asian that thinks that they have issues dealing with their parents and their work, and if they could find some advice through Howie and Thriving Turtle.
Yeah. So what wisdom can we impart right now? A focus on happiness?
No, I think even though it's, I think the discussion we had earlier, I think that was a healthy amount of pros and cons, or of different, two different angles. I think it's healthy to talk about these things.
What if my choices make me a little bit happier, but make my parents a lot more unhappy?
That's okay. Because you can trust them that they're humans who can still grow, right? They might be 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever, right? And they can still grow and still learn, and you can trust each other and you can believe in each other.
No, but I'm imparting misery and disappointment upon them. To them, all is lost. They put all their hopes and dreams into me becoming a pharmacist.
And what you can do is teach them a new perspective that, yeah, you're not a pharmacist, but you're something bigger and better for you and your story.
Yeah. Yeah. I think oddly, if I had to try to take my parents, I feel like they wouldn't be happy unless they saw that, like, I could give them $1 million. I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'd still yell at me.
They'll shut up.
I think maybe they would shut up if I gave them $1 million, that's a terrible Asian culture. Maybe
it is terrible. And that goes back to that imagination. They're so locked into this one way of success and happiness will only be if my kid gives me $1 million, $2 million, whatever. The number doesn't matter.
But isn't that built into Asian culture, the idea that the younger generation is there to support the older generation, that there's this loyalty and this fidelity and this duty to then support the older generation at some point?
Yeah. And I have a specific side to that. And it is, I think it's terrible that this system is built out of obligation and not built out of desire. That, like, man, my parents are old, my grandparents are old. You know what? Quitting my job for 6 months, a year to take care of them and just be with them, because I don't know how much time that I've got left. Because you know what? I just loved them and they were so important to me, rather than man, my parents just beat into me that this is something I have to do. And you know what? They never treated me right. And they made me do all these things that were just serving them. And now I have to take care of them. And now I can start my life maybe when they pass away at 60, when I'm 60 or 70, and we continue to cycle on our kids. It's like, now I'm 60 and now I need to be taken care of. So
now I'm the boss.
Right.
So I'll throw out there. I even curious on Emmett's thoughts on it, because I know me and Emmett go back a long way, so we probably know a lot of each other's opinions on certain things. But I think let's play a scenario where if a parent were to raise a child and the parent is transparent in their thoughts, where they tell the child, "Hey, I'm raising you. This takes a lot of money, but this is not your burden. I'm just explaining to you, I love you. I'm spending my effort to give you the best that I can. If I have a good day or a bad day, I hope you see that in the long run, I've taken a lot of effort to try to do my best to raise you." Now, okay, so this kid turns 18 years old. They don't have to feel indebted, but they could feel indebted. They could feel thankful that their parents raised them with...
Appreciative would be a lot better than indebted.
Okay, appreciative. I don't know if I want to say in American culture, often it's the kid turns 18 and they're out the door.
Bye.
That's kind of the culture. Whereas unfortunately the Asian culture, it's
no, the American culture's changed. They keep mooching until 30.
Oh, I don't know how the current I don't know how the kids currently feel.
Yeah, they don't have independence anymore. They just hang around and keep accepting food. And they don't have this desire to get your driver's license and do your own thing. It may be because they feel that the system is so rigged that it's impossible out there. They may feel the odds are so stacked, or they may feel that their feelings are more important.
And what's really funny is I would say, at least for me, and I think many of our parents taught us to be so independent, right? You
Yeah.
need to be strong. The system's against you. You can't trust anyone. You can't rely on anyone.
Yeah, I like that.
So we all suck at asking for help.
Oh yeah.
And so what if you want to build something bigger than just within your capabilities? What if you want to, build a small business, right? To expand to like 3 employees, right? Or 3 partners. How the hell do we ask for help?
Yeah.
And so in Asian culture, it's so transactional, right? You help me one time, you help me this time. But what if, only 1 in 10 guys want to start a business? What is he going to ask? No one else. He can't give and take nobody.
Yeah. What about all the red envelopes with cash that grandma and grandpa give you? Where does that factor into this equation?
Yeah, I appreciated it, and I hope that when I have the financial means that I'm able to financially take care of the things that I want to, and then the excess I will pay back to those people that have helped me in my childhood.
Yeah.
I the reason why I said earlier, I was thinking that I thought you were going to take an angle where kids don't choose to be born. So if a parent makes the kid feel indebted, that's not fair.
It is not.
And then I thought you were going to take an angle that the kid should never feel indebted or something, but I think the word appreciation was a good angle.
I'll take that angle. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't choose to be born. So as a parent, you have a choice, right? You're choosing to bring a child into the world, more or less. Generally, in most cases, you're choosing to have a child. So you're kind of signing up for, hey, I gotta get this kid from, puking, farting infant to something that can take care of itself.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, I think that independence and that ability to take care of yourself is kind of the dividing line of whether you're a kid or an adult, right? I mean, isn't that part of it? Like, I'm not a kid anymore because I can take care of myself in whatever fashion that is, right? Because you do have kids that run away at 14 and go become very independent, and it usually doesn't work out well, but there's some crazy independence there. Or there's people that never leave their family, and they're always a part of their family. They're always a part of that tight, small community. Is that just as good? Is that just a different way to live?
I would just for the 14-year-old leaving. There's so many possibilities. I think that'd be unfair to say that blanket statement on that one, because I mean, what if the parents were abusive and drug users?
Yeah, I'm saying it's usually not a good thing, but
okay.
Yeah.
I thought okay.
No, but say it's normal in America. When you're 18, you can do what you want. You can get a job and get your own place and buy your own food, and you can figure out how to be independent at 18 in the U.S. It's hard for most people to make that jump. Right? Most people don't transition immediately from child to adult.
Yeah.
But I wonder if today's society, is it good to be as dependent on our families, or is it better to be independent? Is it better to?
Yeah, I obviously I think we would think that you want somebody to be independent. Let me add some bunch of stuff on this. It may seem tangent, but I'm going to try to connect it. So say if we got schools, the government pays for schools, the parents get to the point where they're just dropping the kids off, and the parents are like, hey, teachers, you teach our kid. The government has a curriculum for the schools, so the kids are in daycare from the age of 5 to 18. So then these parents start to feel a less responsibility for their children, and that there could be on both sides. There's where parents let go, and there's other parents that we have so much privilege in America. All of us, if we're born here, we have so much privilege. So it's a parent, especially some parents may want to really take care of their children above and beyond, like do the laundry for the children, do the dishes for the children. Don't reprimand them if they get bad grades. That might be an odd luxury that's pushed to the envelope of now where kids are just on their phone all the time and the parents don't yell at them. I think it's in America, we're going too far on everything, from good and bad.
So why can't we balance both and have both where you are independent, right? I can pay my own bills, I can take care of my own food, but I'm also okay asking for help.
Yeah.
Why is that not? And I think of it, we're talking about transitioning to adulthood, right? Was like a solid, like, I want to say maybe nearly 10 years after I moved out of my parents' house.
Yeah.
Right? I'm living in SoCal, I pay my own rent and all that, right? But every time I went back to my parents' house, I would feel like, oh man, can't leave too late. There's like a pseudo curfew or something. Or, can't go out drinking with my friends because my mom thinks like if I drink more than one beer that I'm an alcoholic or something. And I'm like, yeah, let's not talk about college. Right? and that infantilization, because there is no transition from,
hey mom, do you know what a keg stand is?
Right? And I look at it in other cultures, we go very extreme end when, in Caucasian, you get kicked out, some kids kicked out at 18, right?
Yeah.
But we have like quinceañeras, we have bar mitzvahs, as examples in other cultures. And it's like, yeah, you're an adult now. We know that there are kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
But socially, there's a new view, right? Like, you're the newest of us, but you're one of us adults.
I'll just add in some random thoughts on that. On top of that, actually, it might be connected back to about the parenting and stuff. So oddly, in Vietnam, in the last, I went there in 2004, 2009, and 2018, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
repeat offender.
During that time there, from those 15 years difference, 14 years, but I saw, I think, both polar sides of this discussion we're having, where I saw parents being traditionally super strict on their kids. Mm-hmm. And then I started, as 2004, then 2009, I saw more and more where some parents were starting to be really easy on their kids. And I think it was translating it from my thoughts in English to saying it to Vietnamese to a parent. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask them, I never got the chance to, but I wanted to say, where did you get these Western, quote unquote, Western values or this upbringing of kids? Where did you get these ideas from? Maybe I shouldn't have, if I would have asked them, maybe I should not say the Western, but to me, it felt very Western. Mm-hmm. I have an uncle that will never physically or audibly, he'll never do anything negative towards his nieces or his granddaughters. He'll never raise his voice, and he'll never slap them on the hand or anything, which I think in America, slapping on the hand is not okay nowadays. But
no,
I don't know. That's what it seems like. I don't. That's when I see parents around here. That's what it feels like to me. They don't want to.
It's best that I just stay away from children.
But like, I'll see the granddaughters like mess up the house. Like, I mean, tear some shit up. They'll break shit. And my uncle, their grandfather, he's like, oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm like, whoa, like.
So you're saying young children need some kind of control and discipline?
I think where Howie said earlier, it should be a combination. It should be kind of in the middle.
Yeah. Do kids need discipline? Yeah, they're like 6 years old and don't know how they fit into the world and society or even this family, right? Mm-hmm. And what do kids do to figure out the boundaries? They keep pushing at boundaries till they figure it out, right? That's how you learn. That's how I don't know, relatable, but it's like, I know exactly how high of a tree I could jump from by jumping off several trees, and one of them was slightly too high, right? And I'm like, aha, this is my max limit, right? Or how hard I can run or how hard I can learn, right? I'm not one for, I have a stance like, I don't believe hitting your kids, for example, works. It works in the short run, right? They learn not to do something, but it's a fear-based. They're not afraid of the consequences. You're just afraid of getting hit. And so they don't actually learn the core of like, why shouldn't you do something? Why is it good for you or bad for you? They're just afraid of being hit. And so for some of them, they just live in fear. And for some other kids, they just like, now that I'm told not to do it, I must do it. Right.
Yeah, if you play with matches and candles in the closet, I need to teach you that that's very bad.
Yeah.
So how do I make that a severe enough lesson that I have you not burn the house down?
You teach along with them. Like, this is what happens when you light things on fire. This is the
And they're going to go,
damage,
cool, more fire.
right? But they have to learn. They have to learn it in a way. And this goes back to imagination and challenging myself and the community. Can we teach them in a way where they learn the lesson, but there's a better way to teach it than just smacking, like, you're going to burn a house down? And I was like, no, that doesn't teach responsibility. That doesn't teach accountability. That just teaches fear.
Yeah, don't you dare burn the house down. That's catastrophic.
Yeah, and then how do I say, well, I learned to cook. I have those little butane stoves, and I barbecue on that. I'm not burning stuff down. How do I learn to drive responsibly without just bumper carring everyone on the road? Right?
Yeah.
We're clearly capable of it. It will take significantly more effort and work.
Yeah.
But I think it's still worth it.
But you can't teach a 6-year-old to drive responsibly. To drive responsibly.
But you can.
A 6-year-old's only going to know bumper cars.
Yeah, but a 6-year-old can learn, like, hey, you have to respect objects that are 20,000 pounds more than you, and that if it bumps you, the car is going to be fine, and you're not.
I feel like all the school children I see in the streets these days do not know that. They are not afraid of me at all, and I have a large truck.
Right, and I don't know about you guys, but we learned, part of my learning respecting cars was, we played soccer on the street or basketball, right? And you know, car, and you get out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And I think I will admit that in our modern current generation, there's a lot of like hyper protectionism for great intentions but really terrible execution.
Yeah, we've nerfed it too much. These kids are soft.
Yeah.
And
do you guys
goes back to the swinging of extreme to extreme instead of looking at balance?
Yeah.
Howie, what's your thoughts on cryptocurrency? Would you want to do a deep dive? Do you have any questions? So anyways, I was thinking, so at the Google Analytics, YouTube Analytics, I think cryptocurrency was kind of trending on our channel. So maybe we want to do a cryptocurrency dive. Do you happen to have a lot of questions of cryptocurrency, or do you care about cryptocurrency?
I have some personal views. Right now, I think NFTs in their current state are completely useless. I think they have potential to be extremely excellent technology.
All right, let me rephrase that question, because I'll cut the video into the final question section. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
I think it represents a technology that empowers people, but I think people need to get on board with not only just understanding it, but how it, again, imagination of how we can use it. I'll get one example I have is like, I'm sure you've heard like Bitcoin skeptics, right? It's a scam, it's garbage, right?
Oh, let me add in. I think both Em and I are pro crypto, but I'm also a software engineer, so I look at blockchain as a revolutionary piece of software that I think it will help the world. But just so you know, I know quite a bit about blockchain and cryptocurrency. So go ahead, continue your.
And so what I said was translating into a lay person, right? Getting people on board. And so the easy example is, hey, I work in America and I have family in Vietnam, Philippines. I want to send them money. The old technology is Western Union. Literally anything could be better. And Bitcoin was one of the first ones to represent improvement. That's a huge deal when you think about how much remittance is going to Asia, South America, whatever, right? Aiding globalization, decoupling from unstable currencies such like Venezuela or Zimbabwe or something, right? How much this is empowering an everyday person. Like you can, if you guys are software guys, you could hire someone in random place Nigeria who does great work. He just happens to live in Nigeria, and you can pay him, and it would be a perfectly valid transaction.
No, that's like Scam Central. You can't pick Nigeria.
Gotta pick Nigeria, man.
How do you find the one honest guy in Nigeria?
and that's revolutionary, right? And so, we could do business, software. Now, India, right? A lot of software guys there,
Yeah.
Philippines, whatever. Someone, small businesses, you and I can literally hire a person and have a means to pay them. That's huge.
So you're saying in the old days when you wanted to send money overseas across to another country, the typical way to send money to other countries was Western Union, which is that like a telegraph?
Oh, I don't even know what they
Passenger pigeon, basically.
So, but you'd pay a company, and they have some huge fee to ship. I don't know what the fees were. Was it like $30 to send money over there, or what?
Something like that, and it takes 3 to 4 days to clear.
Okay, so we're saying now there's a cheaper, faster way.
Yeah,
but we're not sending U.S. dollars or a country-backed currency. We're sending over this computer currency that somebody invented, called Bitcoins.
Money was invented. Bartering was invented. Bartering at its, money in itself is just a proxy for bartering, because if you're an apple farmer, you can't just keep giving away apples. Not everyone cares about apples.
Yeah, it's hard to carry around.
Yeah.
So were you going towards a specific point on the remittance thingy?
No, just trying to understand the point and dig in a little deeper.
Okay.
Why is it better to send cryptocurrency overseas? I mean, you want me to use this brand new computer money, right?
Back in the day, remember we had Jeff on this podcast, Jeff, the nurse from the Philippines, and he was saying back in the day, I forget what year, like 2012 or 2014, where he was trying to send money from his bank account in the U.S. while he was in the Philippines to his Philippines account. I think if I'm correctly saying the story, but ultimately it was because he went with Bitcoin because it was sub penny for the transaction fee, whereas Western Union, whatever the fee was, $30 or $70, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I think, the fees have gone up sort of, but cryptocurrency in itself still holds that awesome that ability. Now, I don't know, is it 2% of all cryptocurrency uses does that? I mean, people that own cryptocurrency, are they 2% of their transaction is doing from border to border transactions? I don't know. I would imagine the amount is small.
Well, so if I want to send money to my friend in the Philippines, why do I trust your computer money instead of this company, Western Union? Why is there? I mean, Western Union's been around since the Western days, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's just fees. I mean, if you look at the $30 fee versus the sub penny fee, for crypto,
and longevity doesn't mean anything really. For the longest time, people rode horses, and then horses were great, and now we have cars. Now we have, we crapped on Priuses, right? And now Teslas are the hottest thing ever.
Yeah.
And longevity is, it makes you feel good, but doesn't actually necessarily prove anything.
All right. So don't buy Priuses.
I feel, were you trying to play devil's advocate on that question?
Yeah. We can't all be sitting here agreeing with each other.
Oh. Howard, do you happen to have any specific crypto or blockchain questions to a software engineer?
I would. So one of the use cases that I would love to see, and I don't know what it will take to get there, is using blockchain for authentication in places like your pink slip for your car, deed for a house, citizenship, voting.
I theorize whoever does a blockchain or cryptocurrency.
Liem loves that shit. You really nailed it on the interest meter right here.
It'd be the identity, some type of identity blockchain or cryptocurrency. I don't know who would create it first or how exactly the details. So identity is super important in this case, because if you have a title of the house, you need an identity tied to that title of the house. If you have a title of a car, even if you have car insurance, they want to make sure they're probably paying out the right person. So whoever creates an identity blockchain, which I think there's going to be it's going to be a challenging system to figure out. Just like right now in the US, I don't know how true it is, but you see in the movies where you get the bank robber who's an international person who prints out these passports and they have these social security numbers. I don't know how easy that is, but I imagine there are ways, if you know some people, to create a social security number. I don't know how expensive that is, but I would think there's ways to fudge the system. You'd have to contact someone in the social security building probably and pay a lot of money, see if they're willing to risk
Make a
their
fake
job.
record.
Yeah. Now
That's quite an accusation, my friend.
no, well, I'm just saying it's still possible because as long as humans are involved, then there's a possibility. So I'm not saying blockchain will change that. I'm on the other side that whatever human problems we have, that will exist with blockchain. Blockchain is just a way to facilitate potential truth by consensus. So if we do with blockchain, I've been thinking about this for a long while. If with blockchain you could try to do a multi-biological factor authentication. So you could create a wallet and then you could create a mining servers that have thumbprint readers on it. And then I'll automatically assign you a wallet with your thumbprint. And when you create that wallet, then you could put in your other 10 fingerprints. And then, because if one of your thumbs get severed or you have to have ways to.
What about a retina scan?
You could have a retina scanner. I don't know enough about DNA at all because I know retina scanners exist you could buy it on the PC.
Oh yeah, you could spit on stuff.
So other biological DNA and whatnot. I think there's ways to facilitate that. So anyway, you would get a wallet created by your thumbprint and then have all your backups. So that would be super crucial. Once a government or a government approves that blockchain, or they don't even have to approve it, they just have to accept it enough to say, okay, for these type of transactions, if you're buying a car, we will accept your car title tied to this identity on the blockchain.
But then all I have to do is figure out how to digitally fake your thumb.
Yeah, so I think some of I've been thinking about this for a while. So I think when you create your 10 thumbprints, it also creates 10 wallets, and then it links all of them. And as soon as you say one of them's compromised, it copies the information from that one to the other 9. And then there's ways later on, if you say another one's compromised, you want to backtrack to another wallet, it could get complicated, but
you only get 9 chances.
It could be done with a third party. When I talk about like the third party adjuster for insurance companies on the blockchain, you could probably do a third party identity manager where they could also approve that they saw your driver's license and they saw you do your thumbprint on the mining machine.
Okay, so assuming you could nail true identity on a blockchain tied to a wallet,
then everything else is so possible. Everything.
So now we're getting into weird privacy, ethics, all those topics, because I would imagine that you guys understand as software guys, the greatest threat to security is the end user, right? It's you can build as many firewalls and anything you want, and someone's going click this phishing email. Ooh, this looks great, and so how do we balance that, right?
There would probably there's you could do it like I don't know what you want to call, not filtering. So there'd be different layers. So like say when I go to a doctor's office versus a car dealership, they ask for different proofs of identity and different proofs of insurance and different proof of funds and whatnot. So with your identity on that blockchain, there will be a way if I were to build it to authorize. Say I go to a car dealership and they're going to say, hey, if you want to buy this Ford Raptor, we want to know that you have $70,000 available for this Ford Raptor. So then they would send, there's a private key, public key thing. So they could send it to my wallet and say, we want to know if you have $70,000. And then on my wallet, I will see a message that comes from Ford dealership here in Las Vegas, and I could approve it and they could see that I have it. But until someone they'd have to send a message to my wallet for me to approve it. They wouldn't see anything on the wallet. So it would probably have to be a privacy coin like Monero, or what's another one? Anyways, Monero is one of it. I think Zcash. Zcash is another privacy coin.
And let's take it even to the next level.
Sorry, to add the privacy coin, because the privacy coin, they hide everything from your block, your wallet.
And I was going to segue into that. What if you may not, you need that privacy, but not at the same time with, let's say, your medical records, right? Right now it's like if I have Kaiser or Anthem, whatever, it's a shit show. And it may translate or not. And let's just pretend that one day, I got in a car accident and I'm unconscious. And my records are all over the place, and doctors might not know I'm allergic to nuts or something, right? But how else would they get information? What if I don't have family members? I don't have any.
Well, I was going to say, power of attorney, or
Right.
As long as your thumb makes it to the accident.
Yeah.
And thumbprint
or
you in.
we have a way to validate, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a huge deal, because your medical records is something that you need, right?
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. I think there will be challenges, but I think those situations, they are important. But then I think figuring out the first steps for blockchain first, and then take care of the smaller items like that. Those are important, but I think it would take a lot of a big ecosystem or people to really think it all out in all those possibilities. So I think if the first one's available, where you got the identity, there's ways to share specific data with a hospital and a car dealership, then we take to the next step. We would eventually get there, I hope, with blockchain.
Yeah, so it goes back to way back, is like empowering an individual, right? We, instead of having to trust, will my information get hacked by, well, let's see, I had Anthem hacked, PlayStation got hacked once.
It's always the Russians.
Liem got hacked once.
North Korea.
Right.
Was it Russia or North Korea that hacked you?
Not sure, but don't want to get demonetized, right? Right. And it sucks, right? And let's not even, add in like the whole, was Experian.
Oh yeah. And then Cash App recently. Oh geez. It's not surprising for my news feed to have some massive data breach. Like it's just, every month it seems like some big data breach happens. It's crazy.
And so going back to what I said, I don't think we need a whole ecosystem. When we first came out with electric cars, and we're like, where are we going to charge them? And now it's just, in California, it's like, whatever, you can throw rocks at chargers, sort of thing.
But there was companies that were hell-bent for making as many chargers available as possible, right?
Yeah, and we have Toyota coming out with that. They still have that hydrogen car that still worries me sometimes, right? Because it's like a rolling explosive or whatever, right? And
none of them have exploded yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. If they were exploding everywhere, it clearly wouldn't work. But I think the fact that we don't hear about exploding hydrogen cars tells us it's probably not a problem.
We had EV cars randomly setting on fire. We're still chill with that, right? So I don't think it needs to be perfect. I just need to, the proof of concept, at least in, your software engineering guys, where it'll just like, get risk mitigation to the point where it's, if the end user screws it up, sorry, we can't idiot proof something. There's always better idiots, right? But we can do larger scale prevention of the next hack.
So if we can nail down true identity on a blockchain, you want me to use my cryptocurrency to go buy a new Ford?
Yes. You get the Ford Mustang Mach-E.
No, I don't want you to buy. I don't want you to. I would want the whole world to use cryptocurrency, and therefore, I don't know if you're alluding to why would you sell crypto to buy a car and appreciate it. Oh, you aren't going there. Okay, I'll stop. I was gonna jump.
Well, no. So then I go buy this car at the dealership. You want my title of the vehicle to be on a blockchain?
Yes.
What problem does that solve? Because we have the system where the title shows I own the thing. Like, what are you making better for me?
It takes the DMV out of free up the tax dollars that go to pay the DMV obscene amount of money to do this piece of paper that can have other issues with it. If someone supposedly stole your car plus the title, then they could transfer the title and then you'd be screwed all over a piece of paper. Whereas with the blockchain, as long as you got your thumbprints, your fingerprints, and you're fine.
You're trying to cut out the DMV?
So let's put it this way. You show up to one of those DMV kiosks with someone you're trying to sell your car to, right?
Yeah.
You put in your identity. You say, here's my title to the car. The other person puts in their identity. They put in the money. The kiosk is your third-party custodian. Title and money go opposite directions. You walk away with your money. They walk away with their car. 10 minutes tops.
That sounds great. I don't know of a government organization that has ever gotten simpler or smaller or less expensive.
I think that hopefully the future has, things eventually get easier.
Efficient?
Hopefully.
Yeah. I feel like I've watched our world progress from like the 1980s to now, and it seems like we just add layers and layers and layers of complication and more BS and rules and things to navigate.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So how do we ever start clean? How do we ever wipe away the legacy systems?
You
buy your own island, duh.
I think there's I don't know the answer. I'm just spitballing ideas out there, or brainstorming. So
just freeballing.
There's like the password manager that I use. I feel like that has been I started using it 5 years ago. And now I only have one password. That has been an awesome thing, because before I was doing complicated passwords per site. It was just crazy. Now it's one password manager. So that's one thing. But I mean, yes, I agree. Everything else is complicated. But
that's a solution on top of all the complicated. It didn't remove any of the shit that's there.
Yeah. And then another random idea and all that. Facebook has so much personal information in there that people outside that I don't know could get personal information, whether it be known or not known to me, meaning I might accidentally have my date of birth open to the public. There's options in Facebook to go in there and block those things from public view. And they have layers too. You could choose public view or friends views, or friends of friends can view it.
Yeah.
Or someone can view it if they have my email address. So there's like different layers. So it's just all complicated. I don't know. I guess my train of thought after saying the password manager and then Facebook is complicated. We choose where we spend the most time and try to simplify those. The things that we don't spend a whole lot of time, we just we
do spend a lot of time at the DMV.
I just spent 2.5 hours there.
Oh, no.
Wait, were you looking at Facebook the whole time?
Half the time, yeah, because I'm sitting in the chair trying to run my business, and which has been enabled since building a website. Back in the GeoCities days, you had to learn HTML, and now it's pretty much just like point and click and template and done.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, what's your website? Is it pretty cool?
My personal website?
Yeah.
It's built off WordPress, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of sit in this weird, at least my previous career, like I worked in IT, but not that kind of IT.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was always a challenge for me to conceptualize, what does it take to start a business? Because that's something I wanted to do. And the reality is the barrier of entry is actually quite low. You just throw up a website, fill in some forms, and I send it to my, county. They're like, okay. My local city, they're like, fill out a form. I'm like, okay, cool. That's it.
Yeah.
Started, I was like, this is all on the internet. This is great.
Yeah. So would you classify your business as consulting?
Consulting, it was the one that fit most into.
Yeah.
Like sort of education, but I don't know. I deal with a lot of imposter syndrome a lot of days. Right. Like I work in a mental health space. but I'm
Yeah.
not a therapist,
Yeah.
right? Um, it's freaking weird just being
Yeah.
in space.
So you
Uh,
said you've helped people in Australia before, right?
yeah.
But you said that the struggle that you're dealing with is generally the Asian cultural pressures. Is it
Hmm.
what's different in Australia? Because for an American, we don't really think about this, but Australia is actually a lot closer to Asia than we are. So they got a lot of Asians on the Australian continent, right?
Yeah, they do. But Australia, much like many Western countries, is you have the individual identity,
Mm-hmm.
right, and not the collectivistic of you representing your family or something like that. And going back to what we are talking about, one of the thoughts that I had was like when I was growing up is like I always had to go to like school, after school programs, Saturday school, Sunday Chinese school,
Mm.
all those things, right? And then I see my neighbor friends, they're like, we're going on a family vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird to me, right? And they had fun, they had, all that. And I was like, well, why can't I have that?
Because they were busy investing in every possible drop of making Howie the super student.
I, and you know what that actually made me is I resent work now.
Yeah.
I for a large period, I resented work because I couldn't see how it served me.
Mm-hmm.
I was only doing all this work because I was told I needed to do it. And so I've been spending, upwards of, a couple of years now, rebuilding my relationship with work of
Mm.
like, oh, like I look forward to serving my clients. I look forward to, working with them on this tough, tough issues that don't necessarily have an end in sight. But I'm like, yeah, I'd do it for free if I didn't have bills to pay.
What
Sort of
what is
thing.
this idea of Chinese school on Sundays? Because
Oh,
we don't have Vietnamese school on Sundays. Is it to just learn the Chinese language?
pretty much, right? And some of it's like you have like little cultural performances, or you learn how to do a dragon dance or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, maybe it's unique to Chinese, but I only say that because I literally don't know of any other cultures.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's a little more universal in that, like, hey, let's go to a Kumon or something like that. Okay,
Yeah, but you don't. You're not. Your parents are here in the U.S., right?
yeah,
They don't have any plans to go back to China,
nope,
and they're not. You're not going back to China.
nope.
So why is it so important to spend a Sunday like? And what's the point of this Sunday sacrifice to maintain and preserve this Chinese culture that's been left behind?
So at the time, I don't think I conceptualized it, but I think,
Nah, you're a kid.
yeah, I'm a dumb kid, but
What's your
I
parents' motivation though? Why do they say my kid has to go to Chinese school?
I really think and it's only my opinion, I haven't validated with them, which is
Yeah.
it's not only connecting with my heritage culture, but it's really connecting with their story,
Mm-hmm.
the story that they don't know how to vocabularize or don't know how to tell, don't know how to share, or maybe or actually incapable of sharing,
Hmm.
right? And I don't think they wanted me to just look through it through the lens of like TV or history books or whatever. Like it's a real living and breathing thing, and had through them had very strong influence on how they shaped me.
Mm. So do you think that's what the school effectively did, was give an appreciation for old Chinese culture?
Oh hell no!
Oh.
Like I learned, learning Chinese, like write the same word 30 times in a row until
Hmm.
it's beaten into you. And I really didn't appreciate that. It was really boring,
Okay.
right?
Huh.
I and something I struggled even now is like you learn historical culture, and whatever, right? But I'm quite disconnected with modern culture, slang, trends,
Mm-hmm.
music, movies, whatever, what be it, right? With the rise of what, like TikTok. Like if I just
Oh,
subscribe
that's
to
Chinese also. Yeah.
right? If I subscribe to, 50 people in mainland China, I could conceptually get, what's trending, what's not, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago that didn't exist, right?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I always struggle with when you move countries.
Mm-hmm.
I understand appreciating and loving a heritage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the moment that somebody fails to integrate or assimilate to their new country,
Mm-hmm.
it's baffling to me. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, if I find myself in if I'm in Ethiopia,
Mm-hmm.
I better learn to figure it out and live like an Ethiopian. I got to figure out what's going on and see what everybody's doing. I'm not going to try to keep being the same American idiot, in a different place. I'm going to figure out how they do it there. If I'm planning to stay there and have my children there and go to school there and build my business there, and, I'm not going to be the only one speaking American for the next 5 generations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that idea of preservation.
And so, I think America really isn't unique in that, like, you can move to like San Gabriel Valley, from China and never learn anything English, and you could actually have a lifestyle there, right?
Like you could stay insulated, and
you could stay insulated. It would completely miss the point. I'm with you in some ways with that. But it goes to, why can't I have the best of both worlds?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are there crappy things in Asia? Yeah. Are there amazing things that we could bring to America and integrate that into America and not just assimilate, integrate? Yeah. Why can't I have fusion both? Right?
Yeah.
And low hanging fruit example is like a Roy Choi and a Kogi taco. It's a Mexican Korean taco that kind of feels like in some ways had to have been born here, right?
Yeah.
I know there are Koreans in Mexico, and I know there's Mexicans in Korea, right? But was it born here? I think it's just that.
Wait a minute, there's Mexican people in South Korea?
Yeah, absolutely. I watch your YouTube videos; they're great.
Fantastic.
And I think that's the uniqueness of America. Like, you can have this space where like people are like, yeah, you know what, just go for it. Who the hell knows? I think in other places they're just like, oh, it'll never work, or the local palate or local culture won't accept it. And America is just like, whatever. Freaking, we have goths, nerds, D&D, Pokemon,
So is this all really then just the painful clashing of cultures in a time in history where we are truly globalizing, where we're truly able to travel around en masse, where we're able to communicate and see on the internet and experience and be exposed to everything in the world? Because if you go back, a couple generations, you go back 100 years, you really were just in your town. You had no idea, besides maybe a newspaper, what was going on in the world, right? So is there bound to be all of these little intersections?
For me, oddly, I think of the word globalize as once everybody has, it probably will never exist, but if racism is completely gone and we look at each other and we don't see the color of our skin, where we treat each other completely equally, there's no like a manager gives a higher pay to a white person over an Asian or a black or whatever. I think up until that point, I would call it the growing pains of globalization. So I think what me personally, I would define what you're saying as the growing pains of globalization, or just the human condition.
Yeah, it's not just race though. It's what passport you have, right? Or how much money you step off the boat with.
Yeah. Some of it's just sheer luck uniqueness of like, you didn't get the genetic markers for certain cancers, right?
Yeah.
And you talked about assimilating, and I feel like we can celebrate our uniqueness, and because there will always be uniqueness, even in a globalization, right? Like let's just say I'm building my crypto farm rigs, right? Where am I going to put it? I'm going to put it where I can get cheap energy, renewable energy, right? So I'm not building it in Antarctica.
Yeah.
I'm not building it in northern Canada. I'm not building it, in the middle of New York City. And so, with every topic, there's always a little bit of uniqueness. And so we just lean into it instead of saying we must all be the same, because we were never the same to begin with.
I guess where I can't relate is that I've fully assimilated. I guess I grew up here, right? But like I have Irish heritage and I have Vietnamese heritage. I don't feel like it's critical. Like if I had kids, I'm not going to be sending my kids to learn Gaelic Irish.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I have no need to preserve that culture that deeply. I'm not going to have them playing bagpipes and walking around in a kilt and doing these things that an ancient culture did in a different country in a different generation. I don't understand carrying that forward in such a literal way.
So what if I just called it a luxury?
Is a luxury to maintain Chineseness in other countries?
It's a luxuriness that, nobody speaks Gaelic Irish, but we can, and we can build a community that celebrates, what it did historically and how it connected people and how it got, brought you all the way down to your existence, right?
Yeah.
Do we need it? No, we could all just learn English or Chinese or whatever, right? And so you said you Range Rover, and I say, why not Gaelic Irish?
Well, but what I'm saying is we have a difference in behavior. Do we not see in the Chinese culture this formalized schooling that there's some large amount of effort to maintaining Chineseness that we don't see from other cultures?
Yeah. And that's very, very determinant on, you look at the cultures and like, has anyone been trying to invade them and wipe them out lately? Right. And so I think a lot of, that generational trauma of like, well, China kind of got invaded a lot. If it wasn't by Westerners, if it wasn't by Koreans or Japanese or Genghis Khan, right?
Yeah.
I think
was Genghis not Chinese?
Yes.
Wait, was Genghis not Chinese?
Mongolian.
Oh.
They built a Great Wall to keep them out.
Doesn't China say that Mongolia is China now?
Can't explain that one.
Okay.
Right.
Because if Mongolia is China now, then Genghis, by translational math, was Chinese. No? Okay.
But
I'll try to play that. Oh, go ahead.
I want to bring up, we're talking about globalization, and I think one key point was for me is like, if you're an individual in the middle of China who literally is like, whatever my local culture and my beliefs, and I don't just subscribe to it, globalization to me is like, that person still has an outlet to discover different ways of life, different people, different access information. And it's not just like, I must conform or my life will be terrible. Right. I think having that accessibility is going to be the kind of delineation for me between like a globalization and just kind of pre-globalization.
Oh, so you're saying like a Mexican dude couldn't be just a regular dude in the middle of China? He couldn't be a regular Mexican dude.
Yeah.
He's going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If I wanted to up and move to Singapore because I feel like my values align better there, can I do that? Right. And right now there's barriers to that: immigration. How do I get my money over there through possibly crypto and whatever. Right. But having that freedom.
You even think about this?
Man, when COVID was hitting hard and I was like, which places are doing great and not doing great? And then
Crazy Rich Asians.
Kind of, right? I'm watching all these YouTubes about like hawker stalls, and I'm like, I can do this. There's a blending of cultures, right? It's so core to me now, actually, that blending and being in places where that blending exists.
Yeah,
that I actually don't think I could function in a monoculture.
I heard there's a place called Hong Kong in Tijuana.
It's a fantastic place.
So like,
Get coffee or coffee-like items, right?
Coffee-like items, yes.
I'm to me, that's just we've reached globalization. So then do we want to talk about cryptocurrency in terms of globalization? Is that the key to a worldwide currency?
I think I'll throw in, well, I'm jumping on a tangent from that. So there's some, I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast, or was it Lex Friedman podcast recently. There's fears of a one world government, that cryptocurrency is the start of that. And I don't see the connection. Maybe it's, okay. Maybe it's not even worth bringing it up. Globalization, cryptocurrency, screw that one government thing.
Yeah.
I think cryptocurrency is a possibility of getting away from moving beyond the growing pains of globalization, and cryptocurrency will be near the end goal. It could help get towards the end goal of true globalization.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
As in, if we throw in, I mean, I know I'm just throwing in the racism thing in there too, but as a globe, as humankind, we have growing pains of globalizing, and I could see cryptocurrency going all the way, but it's up to humans to take it. What would be the steps? It seems like governments would need to accept it of some sorts or allow it to exist. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to take over. I think a lot of people think of cryptocurrency as a left or right, or a black or white. It has to take over, and then fiat has to go away. I don't think fiat has to go away. Fiat, as in the US dollar or the euro, whatever. I think both can coexist.
Mm-hmm. We just have more complication and more systems.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I would take it back to, a story that I heard from many Vietnamese about how their families fled Vietnam during the war. Yeah. And they would say, like, they had jewels sewn into their clothing so that they could bribe and pay for escape, right? Mm-hmm. And so they had to, literally move and lose everything pretty much to try to start a new life. Mm-hmm. At that extreme end, crypto would solve that, because you don't have to worry about grabbing your stuff. It's prioritize your existence first. Your finances are yours, and the system will remember it. And so you can start your new life in California, Minnesota, or whatever. And it's like, well, these are there's your financial resources you brought with you.
A digital asset. Yeah.
Most currencies digital as is. Your bank account, stocks, and all that. It's already digital.
I think 97% of all U.S. cash is digital.
Yeah.
Only 3% is printed.
So why are we fretting over a 3% physical item?
Oh, what's our fret?
The government, the banks.
Oh, I want more cash. Give me the cash.
Do you want? There was a video of someone. It was just a joke video, I guess. I don't know, a TikTok video where a guy went. I think it was Miami. He would go up to drunk people, and it was at night, recording, and he would say, would you want $100 or one Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that didn't understand. They said, oh, $100. And then there's some people that said, yeah, I don't want that fake money. So they knew it was $40,000 for one Bitcoin.
Huh.
It was weird.
Yeah, that's odd.
40,000 today, 30,000 tomorrow, 60,000.
Yeah.
But that's a stabilization problem. That's not a functionality problem.
Mm-hmm. I theorize there'll be a plateau sometime, but that's just my theory.
As in, it can't keep growing in value infinitely.
You get enough global cash, and whether it be U.S. dollars, but it hopefully be globally, enough U.S. dollars in, enough euros in, enough Venezuelan petrodollar, whatever it is, get enough global currency in there where it will eventually plateau. I think it'll start to stabilize.
What about Microsoft stock keeps growing since the 80s?
Because the economy of America keeps on growing.
Yeah.
The dollar.
So if the if the S&P 500 can keep growing infinitely,
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't cryptocurrency keep growing infinitely?
It is built to have a finite amount.
Finite amount, not finite value.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so shouldn't the value keep going up?
Theoretically,
I think you. Okay, I could see that. So in a future where the U.S. dollar keeps on getting inflated, say a Arby's sandwich goes from $7 to $10,
breaking my heart right now,
to say $20 for that Arby's sandwich, but yet oddly, let's Ethereum, that Arby's sandwich is 0.05.
Just say 1.
So in the future, it'll be 0.01 instead. So it's actually gone less Ethereum to get that same Arby's, but yet the reverse is different for the US dollars that cost more later.
I want the growth in my Ethereum value to go up faster than the cost of my Arby's.
What if we just viewed it from take a step back and view it from a perspective? Break away from thinking a function of dollars and petrodollars, whatever. Just what is the fundamental price you're willing to pay for the Arby's, right?
Yeah. So
long as the value demand goes up, value cryptocurrency can go up. There's no ceiling. Where the price settles and plateaus is based on the economics of the production of all the individual pieces, getting it to your front of you. But that's a function of everything else, which is not a function of dollars.
So you're saying my Ethereum can keep growing in value at least until I die?
Yeah, I wonder.
I guess try not dying. Have you tried that?
I wonder
every day.
A factor in that whole is that macro globally is because humans keep on being born unless humans hit. Actually, we I think humans we have when you talk to researchers, we have reached peak child, meaning there was a point either 1 or 2 years ago, I might be wrong on this, where they already see the numbers coming down.
World population is not expanding anymore?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, no. The amount of children being born, that we might still be having enough children where we're not dying out through as fast, if that makes sense. So then the wording of your sentence may still be.
Oh, our population is still growing, but only because people are living longer, not because they're having more than two children per couple.
2.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think the next part would be when we get matrixed digital minds, right? Or live just solidly in a digital space, if that technology happens. And then you can have more people, right? As long as you have server space. So how to make more server space, get more resources. How do I get more resources? Well, let's start finding asteroids to mine, right? Or different planets.
I've seen a couple of I guess they're news articles about research papers, so fairly scientific, that they're starting to figure out some stuff with stem cells. It was something like, you know how you lose your hearing as you get older? It's these little hairs inside your ear dying off, and then when you hear the ringing noise, that's one of the hairs dying. So as you lose more and more of these hairs, you lose your hearing overall, because that's the part that's sending the signal to your brain of what you're hearing. Researchers were able to trick those cells in your ears to kind of revert back towards a stem cell and then stop before it turned into a stem cell, thus effectively kind of regrowing a new young. And so they're able to restore hearing. So to me, that's seems like a very first baby step towards a kind of anti-aging, right? If we can figure out anti-aging and not cancer and a couple of other issues, we're not too far from endless life, endless humans.
So I think there's a parallel path between the organic and cybernetic enhancements that you could replace. I'm cybernetically enhanced with glasses, right? I'd be blind as shit without them.
Oh, those aren't cyber. Those are optical.
And definitely in the field of when you lose a limb and you get a robot one.
Yeah.
What's prosthetics?
Yeah.
right? And just going like Ghost in the Shell on that.
Yeah. Well, I would like that more. If you could choose to be digitally uploaded as a brain into a digital world,
Mhm.
or have your physical brain transplanted into a android superbody,
Mhm.
I would go the android superbody because I'm not confident that the consciousness in the digital world is not just a copy of me, but not the actual me.
Upon the options of that, then I'll
The
think about it.
prestige.
When that option comes available, then I'll think about it. For now,
Worry
I
about
don't-
that choice when it arrives.
I don't know what I would choose right now for that. The globalization of, or if crypto will always go up, that was an interest. I never thought about. Will we get to a point where we hit peak human population? One scientist or analyst thinks it'd be 12 billion people. He thinks we could potentially even out at 12 billion, and the world will stay level at 12 billion. So then maybe crypto at that point could plateau if it's mass adopted by 12 billion people.
Oh, if everybody has all the crypto they can have and there's not more people coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only funky thing though on that though is the creation of new objects. So when you create a house, or someone's taking wood from the forest, building a house, you're creating a new asset.
Yeah.
Or even a car or a computer, you're creating something from
raw materials
that potentially didn't have as much value in there even before they were more raw.
Yeah.
They had virtually not much value to most people. But anyway, so as we keep on creating products and assets, I think that's an interesting one. I don't know how to quantify that with cryptocurrency. Because if we got 12 billion people and it stays stable, we're going to keep on creating stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to devolve into a function of the raw materials, energy, those base materials. Because you think about existing, right? Like if you went in a river and just picked up a salmon, right? Like I found a salmon, it's great. What's
I like
value?
this story already.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Right? What's its value? Until it changes hands, nothing. If you even decide to eat it or use it, you could literally just like chuck it and you're like whatever, right? And so its value is only derived as a function of commodity. And so
an object only has value once you can trade it?
Only has a community value
Yeah.
when you because either you're deciding it has value and you eat it, or you deciding someone else, you figure it out that someone else has assigned it value and you trade it for them. If you just pick it up and chuck it, there was no value.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But I don't know the answer with all that because 12 billion people, salmon will keep on multiplying hopefully, or we eat all the salmon. So then that makes
the answer is to buy real estate because they ain't making no more new land, bro.
Yes.
Well, except in Dubai.
Yeah. Hawaii, there's a volcano working very hard to make new land.
Yeah.
The big island is growing.
Right?
Yeah, but that'll be millions and millions of years.
That's just a scope problem that's functionally true.
Yeah.
Which is why I need the stem cells so I can hang around longer. Get that fresh Hawaii land.
Fresh first owner.
Are we veered way too far off the track? Are we?
No, I'm going to keep the current cryptocurrency stuff. I'm going to try to slam together into one video by itself.
Okay.
So we could keep on talking crypto, or if you want to jump back to the thriving turtle stuff. I like crypto, but you guys.
I'm down for crypto and salmon, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to talk about it in a language that people get, because I think about how many people just suck at like their financial education. Like investing, saving, inflation. The very traditional mindset is just save, and your savings are losing value every single year.
So then we should buy NFTs.
We should not buy NFTs. Oh,
no, they have a value because somebody will pay you for an NFT.
They may.
They have a perceived value, but doesn't have a produced value. Right?
Because they might.
Well, like there was this article, like someone bought a Dune NFT thinking they owned a copyright to Dune.
Oh, I want to buy all of Dune. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, no, you didn't buy anything. Right. And so the value wasn't produced. It was just like, hey, we're selling you a thing and we think it's this much.
Okay, so an NFT has to have a legitimate artistic or copyright value attached to it.
It has to have a value. I'm not smart enough to figure out what it is, but I think it needs to be derived from something that serves somebody. Otherwise,
I think you can buy
we're just art world trading.
I think that you can buy an NFT of LeBron James dunking on somebody, right? Like you own the video then?
You are just the owner of the digital copy of that, but
of that dunk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that any different than not owning Dune?
No, I think I agree with Howie. I think NFTs in its current state is kind of a weird. It's in a weird state, but I think the future of NFTs actually is very bright. Or if you could do.
Once you get all the hokey shit out?
Yeah.
The technology is very valuable. The implication is that how it's executed, not so much right now.
Yeah. The hype behind it right now. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a weird thing where I used to think if something was all hype, there's no value, right? Mm-hmm. But in a way, if you have enough hype, there is a value.
Just like that salmon that you just caught with your
hands. And then I remind you, remember Beanie Babies? Those are great times.
They're all hype, yeah. Well, to me, the current one is Dogecoin. Like it was literally created as a joke.
Mm-hmm. And then Shiba Inu coin, which was created as a
copy of a joke. Yeah, but we're in a world now where the hype, the meme ability, the popularity of it, then in fact actually imparts some value.
How much value is it to be a part of an experience? I paid a couple $100 to listen to a concert, right?
Yeah.
Is this the next level of that?
To your point, Emmett, the value is only there if someone's willing to buy it. So yeah, sure, Doge. If you had, say you bought it for $1 and it went up, that total amount that you have went up to 500. If you were able to sell that 500, then to you got 500, but it could drop back down to $1 and or less, and you could lose it all.
Yeah, it's not stable.
Yeah, so the hype is, I guess, when you say the word hype, when you say that statement that hype has value. Yeah, I imagine you thinking, or those words, that hype itself has value. I think it's
the hype is given value to the thing,
and if you're able to sell at the right time.
Well, I mean, that's the difference of going to a very popular concert versus a concert nobody wants to see. The ticket costs more for that experience than the experience nobody wants. There's, if there's a hyped artist, right, a very popular artist, then there's more value to that experience. The weird thing with the experience, though, is that once you have the experience, you've consumed it. You can't now trade that experience again.
Certainly.
Whereas the Dogecoin, you can trade on and buy something else.
And one could argue like if I go to my local music venue, pay $30 to see a concert, and I head up to Vegas and see EDC, right?
Yeah.
Is it a better experience? Maybe. That's a very subjective human decision. Is it 600 times, whatever the multiplier is, better experience?
Yeah.
It's still subjective. And so, I don't think you can remove that human component. And I think that human component, not only to the experience, but to the other people who provide or share and consume that experience.
Yeah. I would rather have a gigantic Arby's sandwich than a raw salmon. I would struggle with the raw salmon. It'd be a lot of work to turn that into food.
I'd rather have the raw salmon.
No,
we're not talking about fillets. We're talking like straight grabbed it out of the stream.
Yeah.
No, you can still eat it.
Yeah.
Bears do just fine.
You just got to prep it the right way, gut it, and then cleanly get the meat out.
Dude, Arby's sandwich ready to go.
And you're paying for the value of all those things coming together, prepared for you.
This corporation baked the delicious soft bun, and they sliced up the beef and roasted it to a juicy perfection to have it ready at a moment's notice.
Just you wait till you get your 3D printed meat Arby's sandwich.
I'm okay with that if it tastes good. Yeah.
there's and it goes back to ethics, right? Can I
Yeah.
get could I get a vegetarian to eat stem cell 3D printed meat?
All right, we're going to go into the final question section.
Bum, bum, bum.
First question: what great daily habit or habits do you have?
A great habit is surprisingly just taking breaks to be mindless. That's the space where I get to think of all my weird shower thoughts and crypto and salmon, right? Most of it's
Just catching fish out of the river.
most of it's dumb. I even think so, but some of it's like good shit.
Genius.
I think of the reverse sentence of that just for the heck of it. When you said to give yourself a break, give your mind a break. I sometimes have some acquaintances or friends where I feel that they spend too much of their time watching Netflix, or they're just vegging out on YouTube the entire day, or their whole life or to me, my personal opinion of their life, it seems like that. So I wish that they would be more active with their brain, because I think the more you sit around and be a vegetable, I think some research has shown that by not keeping your brain active, you actually start making less and less.
You're offending a lot of vegetarians right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. There's less and less. I forget what it's called. Electrical connections, pathways. The pathways. Less of them are connected.
Dendrites.
I forget.
I would agree with you. When I say rest, I don't mean veg out. That's still low power.
When I said the reverse of yours is because it sounds like you're having enough mental stimulation, whereas I think some people don't have enough, where they need to get off of YouTube and go do stuff that Howie's doing.
I like stimulation better. I think we should patent that.
Yes.
Can we claim a word? Stimulize.
You'd have to get enough hype behind it.
Make an NFT.
The NFT of Stimulize.
All right, next question. Oh, actually, we already did that one. Next question. What's the biggest problem for humans, and what should we do to fix it?
I think the biggest problems right now is very biased with this emotional regulation, because I think it's something controllable at the individual level and affects everything in your life, how you view your life, how you connect with people, your vulnerability or guarding, your ability to chase your goals and dreams with support or not. Right. And I think I want to make it very human centered. And so that's where I started from.
What's your suggestions on making a big systematic change to fix that?
How do we get more emotionally intelligent?
Mine is really simple. And I just start at my local community level. I'm very open about the need of emotional intelligence. Bouncing ideas, as men, being vulnerable, show up at therapy. Therapy is great if you're in bad place, you need it, and you're good place and you want to grow, right? I want to remove the stigma of thinking like, oh, you must be crazy. It's you want to be a better version of yourself wherever you're at.
I like it.
Awesome. What is your favorite food or dish?
Raw salmon
that I caught with my hands.
I really do enjoy hand pulled noodles. I hate making them. It's most laborious. Like, holy crap! I can make I can buy this for like $10 sort of thing. But man, there's just a lot of nostalgia. And we were talking about history. My family's lineage from Xi'an in China, which is known for hand-pulled noodles. It's also known for like a lot of Muslim influence, and so a lot of like cumin lamb and all that's all good stuff from there. And it's like that brings me just such a journey, and so it's just like a comfort food for me.
When you say the nostalgia, is it the process or the actual flavor? So is it possible that
he hates doing it?
I hate making it.
So like if you did a blind taste test, you could absolutely pick out the hand pulled.
Yeah,
every time.
I could tell you which one was made by Muslims.
What is that?
I'm just being silly.
Oh, I was like trying to think of the punchline. I was like, does it wear a towel on the head or?
No, it was not actually a racist statement.
If in a perfect world, if there was hand pulled noodles that you could buy for like $2, like ramen package, you would hands down, if it tasted that good, you would just go buy it.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I
No,
thought,
you have to be at a place where you could see somebody making it.
does that does that influence you? Have you been to a restaurant where you've seen that and then you're more inclined to go to that restaurant because of that?
In some way, I don't necessarily have to see it, but I do just love to talk to people and just like hear their story, right? And you know, when you really eat food that people put their heart into, and that is made with love and others, you know, stereotypical stuff like that. It's like, no, I can tell that it was made because it's an experience. It's not just I'm eating stuff for nourishment.
So remember that this is a random tangent on someone
You
creating
leave
food.
Arby's alone.
Arby's could if they just spelt their name with 2 letters, they would get it save 3 letters, but or 2. Remember Three Villages, that restaurant that made the xiaolong baos?
Yeah.
So supposedly it was my ex-girlfriend's mom was talking to the owner of that restaurant,
Yeah.
and the owner was telling the story of a customer. A customer came in, ate the xiaolong bao, and said, "Holy crap, this is really good.
Yeah.
This tastes like my original recipe when I made it up in China. I forget what city in China." I think the lady came back 3 times. She's like, "This tastes like my recipe." She's like, "Can I go talk to the cook? I really want to say this is amazing."
Yeah.
She meets the cook. It's a guy that she knew back in China. He made his way to America. She made her way to America. And it's the same guy that they used to work together and make the xiaolong
He stole
baos.
her recipe.
So I think it's an amazing story of just making food and tasting something that you love and noticing that same exact flavor. That story that's what I heard from my ex-girlfriend's mom. I was like, no, that can't be a true story. That seems too, what's the chances of?
Xiaolong bao is this amazingly delicious soup dumpling. So it's a dumpling where you have meat or something in the center with the dough wrapped around, and somehow they're able to put soup inside. So you have this little pocket of delicious hot soupy.
Yeah, and you got to be careful because if you don't know, or if you bite into it while it's hot, that soup, that it's a liquid soup. It's not very thick. It's very liquidy, or at least the places I've gone. I don't know if it's different in other places, but
Yeah.
it'll shoot in your mouth and it'll burn your tongue easily. So got to be careful with it. But it is absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It can be.
I'm a huge believer in like the small world stories and that human connection. Because I think, very tangentially, I was staying in a hostel in England, and the guy who was in a bunk above me, we were just chatting. I was telling about where I was going to school, whatever. And I found out that he was best friends with the girl who lived above me in the dorm.
Oh.
And so I'm from New Jersey. They were from like Tennessee. I went to school in Georgia. And so all this connections to just like, yeah, I know her. I know we're on a first name basis and we hang out like every other week or something.
Damn.
Did you ever verify the story?
Yeah. I was like, hey,
Unlike
I took a picture with this guy. Like, do you know him? And she's like, what the shit how did you meet him? I'm like, yeah, we're just hanging out in England.
You can't just be believing stories from dudes you meet in England, bunks.
All right. Final question. Shout out 2 friends that you think should do this podcast.
I'm gonna shout out my friend Danny, because going all the way back to
The James Webb
Space
awesome.
Telescope. He's a interesting guy, and I actually recently reconnected with him in Hawaii because I found out on my Hawaii trip. I'm like, hey, Facebook, here I am. He's like, oh shit, I live here now.
What's up, bro?
What's up? And it was a great experience. So shout out to him.
Awesome.
I'm going to shout out my partner, Jackie. She's amazing. And she's the exact opposite of me in nearly every single way. So I think it'd be fun to see our dynamic.
She doesn't own any Hawaiian shirts.
She owns one.
Awesome.
And last one is I want to supporting you guys, like anyone who's listening here, right? Like emphasize your story is worth telling. It's interesting, even if you don't think it is. It's a very human story. I invite you to share it. It's a lot of fun. Connecting with people is fun. You guys are fun, right? I've never really met you guys, and you guys are tons of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I was a good dude.
Yeah.
Anybody who compliments me deserves compliments.
Do you happen to have a drink or something to cheers for the end?
There you go.
Howie, thank you so much for spending this time with us. It was a pleasure.
I look forward to running into you in Hawaii.
Sure, I'll run into it wherever. Small world, right? There's only so much space that we're buying.
Yeah, I got to sort through the other 12 billion people. Cheers, Howie. We'll see you, brother. Dude.